Hey, in the immortal words of Judy Brown, happiness is a choice. And we're happy you're spending some time with us. Chip and Zay, I am at the College Football Hall of Fame at SEC Football Media Days. And Zay Collier is holding it down back in Austin, where he is the greatest high school ref in the history of basketball. Zay, what a morning it's been, and the Texas Longhorns are not even here yet. They're getting to Atlanta. Well, they'll be in Atlanta taking center stage at SEC Media Days tomorrow. But we have had Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin, Shane Beamer, and we're going to get Clark Lee, the head coach at Vanderbilt, here shortly. We heard from Commissioner Greg Sankey, and some interesting comments that we will get into. How are you doing, my man?
Not too shabby, man. Living good, feeling good. SEC Media Days underway. Glad you're up there taking in everything before this terrific football season that we're approaching. But yeah, man, feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
You know what? I'm feeling good. I had a chance this morning to talk to David Cutcliffe, who was the offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning at Tennessee and the head coach and offensive play caller for Eli Manning at Ole Miss. He has obviously paid very close attention to Arch Manning. He had some really interesting things to say. Foremost, that he doesn't know if there's ever been a young quarterback who's faced more pressure than Arch Manning. And he does think that the incredible upbringing he's gotten from his parents, Cooper and Ellen Manning, who he noted are both very successful in their own right. Cooper, a very successful businessman. His mother, Ellen, is a very prominent, successful attorney. And of course, they're all connected to Archie Manning, who David Cutcliffe said there should be a national award called the Archie and Olivia Manning Award for how to raise, kids the right way. And actually, he said it should be the highest award possible in higher education athletics. So, I mean, of course, David Cutcliffe's going to say that. He coached Peyton Manning at Tennessee and Eli Manning at Ole Miss. Now, he did a good job. Both those chaps ended up being the number one overall pick in the NFL draft, Zay. It's not bad.
No, not at all. I mean, Cutcliffe's been an offensive quarterback guru for a long time. Did extremely well at Duke a few years ago. And obviously we know just his history with the Manning family. That family's very close to him and vice versa. So not surprised that he's saying these things about Arch and Arch starting his journey as a quarterback. But yeah, the whole family, man, we know they've been locked in since day one. They haven't rushed anything that Arch has to deal with. And everything's kind of just came into play like how they drew it out. Like they were okay with being patient in this microwave society that we're in nowadays, where everybody wants the ball in their hands immediately. Like once you touch down on campus with no experience, we're seeing guys get paid out the yin yang before they do anything at the college level, just what they did in high school. The Manning family said, you know what? Let's sit back. Let's relax. Let's let my man Arch Manning get it through the mud and go through the ups and downs that every college player or most college players have to go through. And now, since it's his turn, he's ready and we'll see. But yeah, I agree with Cutcliffe. Like, we've never seen anything like this compared it to LeBron James on the type of publicity and just aura that you see with the name Arch Manning in sports. And yeah, you're going to see it tomorrow firsthand. And a lot of the nation's going to see it tomorrow when Texas touches down for SEC Media Days and all the attention that the Horns get because of Arch Manning.
Yeah, I mean, brace yourselves.
That's what I'm saying. You got a bulletproof vest or something, man? Because I know people are going to be, scratching and throwing bows just to get a piece of Arch Manning. So I just want to make sure you're prepared. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got your coffee in the morning, because we're doing the show tomorrow morning, so you can get out and, cover the Horns tomorrow afternoon. So we'll be taking, Bucky and BK's place tomorrow early, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. your time, Eastern. But yeah, I just want to make sure you're locked in and ready, that you get a good night's sleep for Archmania tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that that Bucky and BK are letting us do the morning show tomorrow, so that I can sharpen up my elbows for what we're gonna be in for, because it's gonna be chaos. There's no doubt about it. Lane Kiffin came right out and said that the new NIL cap is not working. He just said point blank, it's not working. People aren't following it. They're not subscribing to it. Greg Sankey said earlier, before Lane Kiffin took the stage, that we're 2 weeks in, there are bumps and bruises. You don't walk away, you work out the kinks. There are those who are telling student athletes, and it's kind of the worst kept secret right now, that a lot of schools feel like this new NIL guardrail is not going to survive the courts. And there's an insinuation that some schools are operating as if they're still in the Wild West because it's not going to survive the courts. That creates all kinds of mayhem if true. Now, we know Lane Kiffin is not afraid to get things going. He's not afraid to say what other people are thinking. We know he loves social media. He talked about some of the little jabs that he's thrown at Hugh Freeze this offseason about his golf game, because everyone was, looking up Hugh Freeze's his USGA scores that he's reported for his handicap. And apparently there were a lot of golf was being played by Hugh Freeze. Anyway, so now you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Greg Sankey says the SEC needs to play by the rules. Lane Kiffin says not everyone's playing by the rules. We know Texas Tech's the agent for Felix Ojo told Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports that it would have been 3 years guaranteed at $5.1 million, but it ended up being $775,000 per year for 3 years guaranteed. But if things go back to the Wild West, it will be $5.1 million. So everyone's talking about it openly as if the NIL guardrails are not going to survive the courts. And that just creates mayhem, because if you've got some schools that are, banking on it not working, and apparently there's been a lot of these contracts have been flagged by the Deloitte, the third party that's monitoring these deals. So just get ready, folks. I mean, it sounds like it just sounds like it's going to be mayhem.
Yeah, you better get your lawyers on speed dial because a lot of people are going to have to ask for them. And, Lane Kiffin, talk about a pot stirrer. We all know that I'm a big pot stirrer, and I salute my fellow pot stirrers out there like Lane Kiffin, who had a lot to say today at SEC Media Days. We know the settlement's trying to provide as much parity as possible, but yeah, there are going to be some kinks that are going to, just pop up that, again, we've never seen anything like this before. So how can you try to, evaluate everything when you just have no idea what's going to happen next? And with the Felix Ojo situation, that's definitely one that kind of throws a little jab back at the settlement because Tech's clearly playing by a certain selection of rules that they think is okay right now. But as you said, Shep, how long is that going to last? So it's kind of one of those things that you just have to watch play out. And I know a lot of Texas fans are, having some question marks with the Horns and how they've approached this 2026 recruiting process. You get a solid commitment from corner the other day, which boosted their rankings. But overall, I think some schools are going to thrive with it and try to make their own plays to where the settlement, it doesn't really work to what the settlement's bringing you. And then there's some, as Greg Sankey said, that are trying to play by the rules. But either way, it's madness. And I kind of got my popcorn ready, just sitting back, trying to take it all in because it's also confusing.
Yeah, it is. So I bring this up to say, just be ready for whatever else could be coming as a result of all this. And I see Rob has noted. So here in the College Football Hall of Fame, on the second floor, there's a lot of lighted exhibits, as you can see behind me. So the overall lighting in this room is a little lower. So yeah, it's me. That's me here at maybe if I sit closer to the screen, y'all can see me a little better, or maybe it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, what part are y'all in? Like I see trucks and stuff, and I see a concession dude behind you. What's that got to do with Hall of Fame college football?
Okay, so this is like the tailgating section of the College Football Hall of Fame. It's called Family, Food, and Football, and it's about the tailgating traditions. So yeah, you got all kinds of there's like some SMU stuff up here, believe it or not.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Talking about your boy Craig James?
No.
What you mean?
What you mean?
What you mean? He's a legend. That's a Hall of Famer.
He's a dirtbag. He's a dirtbag. They're talking about Peruna, that tiny little horse that we don't talk about. We need a wild Mustang that kicks everyone's brains in, not something small enough for girls to ride at a birthday party.
I don't know what's so bad about that. What's so bad about being the pony? The pony could kick some ass too. You never know which pony will just crash out and lose their mind. And
you mean like buck up one of those little girls at a birthday party?
I mean, maybe not.
Send them flying.
Maybe not that specifically, but you need to embrace the pony name, man. James, letting you know, pony, embrace it.
That's terrible.
Cool. What up, name?
What's going on? Okay, Zay. So James wants a quick tour. I cannot, all of our equipment is wired into the mixing board. Otherwise, I would pick you up and carry you around. Maybe we can figure something out for tomorrow.
Yeah, get a little quick video, a little tour.
Right, a little tour. Because it is cool. It is cool. They've done a nice job with this College Football Hall of Fame. When you walk in, every helmet, 300 and something helmets are up there, and you're just going like, whoa, because it's pretty impressive. And the interviews are going on the first floor, and it's a much smaller ballroom than we were in last year. So that just makes tomorrow even more bonkers, because I can just tell you it's going to be 20 deep around Arch. I'm just going to throw a tape recorder up there before everyone goes wild. But yeah, I mean, we've got a lot to get into, Zay, but I want to get your thoughts. Anything stand out to you so far from what you've heard from SEC Media Days?
Very curious on LSU. We've had a lot of people on our show pick LSU to be in that SEC championship game. And a lot of that has to do with Garrett Nussmeier, which Garrett was there today speaking to the fine folks of the media at SEC Media Days. And the way that these Tigers, Whit Weeks and Brian Kelly, the way that they're describing their team, which you can't speak badly about your squad. Like, what does it look like? You come in SEC Media Days and say, we're going to go 0-8 in the SEC. Like, nobody's going to say that. Everybody thinks that they have a really good chance of making it back to Atlanta and playing in the bins for the SEC title. But still, the things that these LSU players and Coach Kelly were saying about their team, like hearing things about their wide receivers. Nobody runs a 4.4. Everybody's under that. And guys hitting over 23 miles per hour. Like 4 different guys have hit over 23 miles per hour. Like, that's blazing. So we all know LSU when it comes to wide receivers. You could argue them in Ohio State. They've been wide receiver U over the past few years. Guys like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, list goes on. You expect them to have a plethora of wide receivers every single year that could do amazing things and make Garrett Nussmeier look good enough to where he has a first-class ticket to New York in the top 3 race for a Heisman. So that caught my eye. Whit Weeks was also asked about Harold Perkins and just straight up said that's the best defensive player in college football. Now, again, that's your boy. That's the homie. It's probably his roommate. But it makes you think, okay, is Harold Perkins going to get back to what we saw in 2023, his freshman year, where he had this coming out party, where we thought this 2026 NFL draft coming up, he could be the number 1 overall pick. Has he gotten back to that in his 3rd year under Brian Kelly and playing for LSU? And Whit Weeks goes on to say that he's the best athlete he's ever seen in his life. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, but also we're paying attention to LSU this year. Let's just keep it a buck. We are locked in on LSU. Can Brian Kelly get those guys over the hump and how good they will look with a pretty difficult schedule? I think they're going to be pretty good, but hey, we're going to have to see. But that's one thing that caught my eye today.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. And, they lost 4 starters on the offensive line, all of whom were drafted. Will Campbell, Emory Jones were drafted high. And then they had a couple of 6th rounders. And they went to the portal to get offensive linemen, which is something that's dicey. Oklahoma tried that last year and it didn't work out so well. And because you have to have guys who understand the position, understand, how to work together, the cohesion, the chemistry that's required. Brian Kelly talked it up, but people were asking Brian Kelly about the LSU defense, and he said, I understand we have not played championship level defense in my first 3 years, but he said he feels like he's got the personnel and the coordinator in Blake Baker to to get it done. It's all coach speak right now. I'm not sure. I'm not sold. I like Garrett Nussmeier, and I listened to him today. He's confident. He's, but he's got to work out his inconsistencies. He looked great at times, like against Ole Miss. He looked lost against A&M. And Texas, well, I can't say that because Quinn Ewers had a couple of tough turnovers in the red zone. But Texas was moving the ball at will between the 20s against A&M. And it was at A&M, just like LSU had to play at A&M. So I get the sense, and you have to credit Quinn Ewers for moving the ball between the 20s. Obviously, he had a couple of tough plays there with the turnovers, but I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated. I mean, my early gut instinct is that South Carolina is going to take a little bit of a step back defensively. We'll see if Lenora Sellers can will that offense to good things. He's capable. He's built to do it. I mean, anytime you're talking about a 240-pound quarterback who can run, and we saw him, but defense.
By the way, does he look that big in person? Because I've been watching a lot of these videos of SEC Media Day. He looked about 220, 225. He might have lost some LBs. I don't see no 240. Maybe just, maybe it's a perfect suit to look like he lost some LBs, but that 240, I don't think Lenora Sellers is 240 anymore. That's just me.
That's just you. That's just you.
Okay, he looks all of 240 to you.
Well, he looks about 230.
Okay.
Now, maybe when he puts those shoulder pads on,
right,
he'll look 240. His legs, though, are tree trunks. I mean, that dude's got some power. He's got whatever Jalen Hurts is squatting, 650. Lenoris looks like he's closing in on. Dude is powerful in the lower calves, hams, and ass. We talk about it all the time here. That boy got calves, hams, and ass. So you got to watch out for those dudes, because if you got it, if you got all that, you got a chance.
Yeah. They calling that brother Heisman.
Heisman.
That's what South Carolina folks are talking about right now. Like, okay, that sounds cool. That sounds fun, but their schedule, it ain't no walk in the park. Like, they got some games on that schedule that's going to test everybody. It's going to test Shane Beamer's coaching ability. It's going to test Lenora Sellers here in year 2. Like, he was terrific as a freshman. I'll admit that. He was really good. First 4 games, a little up and down. The last 7, the dude was money. But you already got a very just brutal SEC schedule. And then you end the season with your in-state rival, Clemson. And you and I, we've talked about Clemson a lot and what we expect from them. That's a college football playoff team that gave Texas last year everything they wanted, and they bring back majority of their players, including their ATX native quarterback, Cade Klubnik. So the Heisman thing, that's cool. I'm sure they're going to put it on T-shirts, sell mad merch for all that, but Lenora Sellers, you ain't going to pop out and scare nobody now. Now folks are looking for you. Now folks are expecting you to be good. So what's that mean with the bullseye on your back?
Well, and here's my thing. Last year you had Raheem Rocket Sanders, okay? He averaged 4.8 yards per carry. He had 11 touchdowns rushing and is powerful, talented. The guy that is the leading candidate to replace him is Oscar Attaway, senior. That dude only averaged 3.8 yards per carry last year. That don't scare nobody. And you got to have for that offense to thrive, for Lenore Sellers to be as dangerous as possible, you got to have a running back that puts the fear of you know what in a defense so that they're truly torn between having to defend that running back and the quarterback. Like when VY had Jamal Charles and Selvin Young and Ramonce Taylor. Like when Vince Young's running zone read with those dudes, the defense, their head's gonna split open. I just don't think people are taking into account how big of a role Rocket Sanders played in the success of that offense and the success of Lenora Sellers running the ball. Because Lenora Sellers, he ran it. He was the second leading rusher on that team. And he ran for 574 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like when Colt McCoy led Texas in rushing in 2008, that was like around the numbers that Colt had. I mean, Lenora Sellers was doing a lot of heavy lifting. So, and he's put together. He can handle it. Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
Look, it's SEC defense. As Garrett Nussmeier said, you know, to be a quarterback in the SEC, you got to be tough as nails. You're going to get beat up, bloodied every week by first-round NFL draft picks on the defensive line. And he's right. Now, Lenora Sellers, he got some jets that Garrett Nussmeier does not have. So he can dodge and dart, whereas Nussmeier's probably just going to feel like a crash test dummy. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that South Carolina offense can put it on people like it did at the end of last year.
Yeah, when you bring in a new offensive coordinator, Mike Shula, who's very well respected in this game that we call football, from his time in the NFL to even back during his time in college where he was Alabama coach, like in the 2000s. Like, I know that wasn't a good time in Alabama football, but Mike Shula has been around the block, and he's coached guys like Cam Newton. He's also coached guys like Eli Manning. So him bringing in all that knowledge for the Norris Sellers, you would have to think that's beneficial, but also it's new. So can he find what Lenora Sellers does well, and can Lenora Sellers adapt to Mike Shula in this first year of him being the offensive coordinator for the Gamecocks? That's another thing to pay attention to. But when you look at their schedule, man, you could see 7-5, and you could also see 10-2. You know, that's what makes the SEC so crazy, because you just never know. Like, one player gets hurt, that can change everything about your season for your opponents and for your own squads. So South Carolina, they're going to be interesting. And I like Shane Beamer. I like his fire. You know what I'm saying? Like his confidence. You know, a lot of people are talking about him being one of the more underrated coaches, not only in the conference, but in all of college football. And if he goes out there and goes 10-2, and they make the college football playoff, hey, look out.
Yeah, I know this. They should be 5-0 to start the season, because they open with Virginia Tech in Atlanta. Then it's South Carolina State. Then it's Vanderbilt. Then it's at Missouri. Then it's home against Kentucky. Then they have an off week. Then they go to LSU, and their season starts, because it's at LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, at Ole Miss, at A&M. That's easily the make or break part of their schedule, but it doesn't come until 5 games into the season. So by then they'll either be they'll either be gaining confidence and proving everybody that they've got sustainability. But man, you don't lose the dudes up front like they had, and Eman the safety.
That's your boy. You were high on him in the draft.
Yeah. I mean, that dude led them in tackles. He had 4 interceptions. He was a finalist for the Thorpe. 3. I mean, that dude made plays. They lost their top 5 leading tacklers, including TJ Sanders. I mean, yeah, they lost a lot on defense. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
LSU, what's interesting, our man Phil Steele, we've talked about how he's got Georgia 1, Texas 2, and then Alabama 3, and then a 3-way tie for 4th between Oklahoma, LSU, and A&M, which
Damn, I didn't know Steele had Georgia number 1 still.
Yeah.
I don't think we discussed that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. He gives them the edge because they get Texas at home, where they have not lost in 5 years, and that's true. They have a 31-game home winning streak, but we know lately Texas has been all about smashing streaks. They've ruined Michigan's home winning streak as the defending national champions last year, and now they'll either be facing a Georgia team that will have won 36 in a row at home, or that record will have been broken by then. But Georgia, their home games before they face Texas are Marshall, Austin P, Alabama, who they have struggled to beat, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. So that's why you love the SEC, man. I mean, it's like every week. Remember when Kentucky almost beat Georgia last year?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I do.
If you don't have your team's mind right, you can eat it. Look at Alabama going to OU last year. I still can't believe that game. And you should hear the Alabama people talk about Jalen Milroe. It's like, okay, y'all need to put some respect on his name because he went into LSU and just thrashed Mike the Tiger and all the Bayou Bengals. I mean, and I love Tiger Stadium. I love their tailgate. Their fans are great. They gave me moonshine. They gave me crawfish, etouffee. But, man, no one goes into Death Valley at night and just kicks over the furniture, takes their women like Jalen Milroe did.
Serving etouffee at a tailgate. I know it's LSU and all, and they don't have any limits, but damn, that's a crazy food item.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta have the rice and all that, and
I'll say it's mostly gumbo. Gumbo.
Okay.
But there are some tailgates where it's elaborate.
That too, gumbo, like
right. That's commitment.
Yeah, love me some seafood gumbo. Like, I wouldn't mind it. I'll eat gumbo 365. But right before a football game, like, that's why LSU's different, man. And you hear Brian Kelly saying that they got that Clemson game locked in. Like, both teams, South Carolina and LSU, have to play Clemson. LSU, I couldn't believe this stat, which it makes sense now, just going back in memory, but they've lost the last 5 opening games to start the season.
Last 5. I knew it was 3 all under Kelly. I knew he was 0-3.
Last 5. That's bananas.
Yeah, that's
this is LSU we're talking about.
That's Tom Herman like. Remember when Herman would open with Maryland? It didn't matter if it was home or away, he'd lose.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, really? Maryland? Oh, I think Naaman meant DJ Lagway.
Yeah.
Lord,
Yeah, he
yeah.
means Lagway.
We'll get Lagway later in the week. Very interested to talk to him. He's another guy who's built like Lenore's Sellers, built like a running back, like a big running back, 240.
Yeah.
They ain't,
But yeah, they got him listed like over 235. But unlike Sellers, Lagway loves to stay in that pocket and make those throws. You know, that's probably the next step to Lagway's game is getting outside the pocket and using his legs and really making defenses' minds go crazy. But yeah, a lot of people are high on Florida too, which I get. Billy Napier, there's a reason why he's kept his job. He's got a lot of talent in Gainesville, and that's why that makes that October 4th matchup with Texas one to keep your eye on. Like, I wouldn't say that's a trap game, but it kind of is. Knowing that Red Rivers the following weekend, like Gainesville, you can't sleep on that environment and that stadium. Like when it's popping, it's popping. So that's going to be a big time test, no matter what that Ohio State game looks like for the Horns. And whether Lagway's 100% or not, getting the win in that stadium, the swamp, baby. Them Gators bite your ass, man. You don't want to get caught slipping in the swamp. So I'm another game that I'm very excited about. Very excited to hear Billy Napier and Lagway and the rest of those Gators on Wednesday speak about their ball club. But yeah, man, if Lagway's 100% with everything that we've heard about him, what we've seen, just in, you know, the little bit that we saw last year, he's got it. And I will continue to say this. DJ Lagway being from Willis, Texas, that Texas game means something.
Oh, yeah.
That Texas game, because why wouldn't you want to play for your home state, the flagship school of the state that you grew up in? And Steve Sarkisian, knowing that he had Arch Manning, he didn't waste his time on DJ Lagway. If I'm DJ Lagway, that's mad disrespectful. I'm finding some type of motivation from that. Oh, you think this guy is better than me? All right, well, I'm going to show you October 4th. I hope everybody in Texas understands that. You know, because they ain't that old cliche, we like to treat every game the same. Bullcorn. As my 4th grade teacher, Miss Trimble, used to say, that's bullcorn. I ain't trying to hear that. Yeah, I ain't trying to hear that. There's certain games that you mark on your calendar that mean more than others. We're all human. That's just the way the ball bounces sometimes. So I'm sure DJ Lagway's got that game circled multiple times like a crazy freaking person and is saying, yeah, when these Horns come into town, I'm going to be ready. So that trap game, as better be ready.
Well, Naaman brings up this DJ Lagway's game against DeSoto in the playoffs was ridiculous. Lagway had 444 yards of total offense and 3 total touchdowns in his final high school game. It was Lagway versus DeSoto. And he stole the show. That dude's a baller. Like, that dude shows up every time. And it's fascinating to me. He was the number 1 quarterback in the nation in 2024, manning the number 1 quarterback in the nation in 2023. Lagway's a dog. Like, anyone doubting DJ Lagway, go back and go to YouTube and watch his game against DeSoto, because that dude refused to lose. They were going to have to drag him off the field. And I don't even know.
Yeah. And yo, Rex, to us, it's just a business. That's what Steve Sarkisian's probably going to stand on. It is just business. We got Arch Manning. We're not even going to flirt with DJ Lagway. That's a waste of time. But to DJ Lagway, we don't know what's going through his mind about that. Because if you're a competitor, yes, you feel disrespected. If somebody else is chosen over you, he probably thinks he's better than Arch Manning, as he should. As he should. So if you're from Texas, like Lagway is, and Arch Manning being from Louisiana doesn't grind Lagway's gears a little bit, then maybe he ain't that competitor that we thought. But you just threw out the stats against DeSoto. Pretty sure he is. Like Billy Napier's job is saved because DJ Lagway came to Gainesville. So I just want y'all to think about that. It might not even be as deep as I'm making it. But if it is, shoot, man, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you, Zay. I've said there are quarterbacks who've built up coaches, gotten coaches jobs. Teddy Bridgewater got Charlie Strong the Texas job. There's no doubt the time that Teddy Bridgewater was at Louisville, they did amazing things. They did un-Louisville-like things. They went to the Sugar Bowl and beat Florida. And, of course, Tom Brady's the easiest example. Vince Young, Colt McCoy gave Mac Brown his only 2 conference championships in a 38-year coaching career. There are quarterbacks who deliver the goods, and I'm already ready to say DJ Lagway's in that group. We'll see if Lenora Sellers is. He might be. He might be.
Damn. Sellers is more proven than Lagway.
No, he isn't. Not in my mind. Not in my mind.
Wow.
No. Lagway went 6-1, and the only game he lost was a game he was leading against Georgia when he left.
Okay.
That dude put on a show to end the year, beat LSU, beat Ole Miss. What you mean? What's that look?
Hey, I'm listening to you preach, man. That's why you one of the best. That's why you the great Chip Brown. I'm listening to you preach because now I'm thinking different. Like, okay.
Yeah,
like that.
Lagway to me, like I've seen enough killer in him that I would put him above Garrett Nussmeier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to me, and we got to see what Arch is all about. I think he's a killer. But to me, it is kind of between Lagway and Arch.
Interesting.
Among the best, quarterbacks in the SEC. And no offense to Garrett Nussmeier, but I got to see more from him. I got to see DJ Lagway didn't have a game like Nussmeier had at A&M. DJ Lagway didn't have a game like Jalen Milroe had at Oklahoma. DJ Lagway is going to fight you to the end. And I know Texas fans are like, oh, whatever, because they didn't play Lagway. Lagway was out that week with that knee injury. He came back the next week and won. He's tough. Yeah. So people are asking, would Sark have gone after Lagway if Arch Manning wasn't committed? If Arch Manning was going somewhere else, you better hope Sark was all over DJ Lagway.
Right.
Because that dude, you're right. That dude is saving Billy Napier's job. And look, maybe that's, maybe, I don't know. But, Graham Mertz wasn't saving Napier's job. DJ Lagway came in and went 6-1. Graham Mertz, he had some rough outings, like against A&M in Gainesville. A&M went into Gainesville and won last year. Like, they were a different team after Lagway took over at quarterback and Mertz got hurt. So, yeah. Now that
interesting.
I gotta go ahead.
Because I'm looking at his stats this past year, and you say he went 6-1. Okay, cool. But only in 5 games, which one of them was against Samford at the beginning of the season. So you can count 4 games that he won where he had over 10 completions. Against LSU, he went 13 for 26. So
That's not great.
Best game, but
That's
they won.
50.
They won the game 27-16. Against Mississippi, Ole Miss, he went 10 for 17. They won by 7, 24-17. Against Florida State, who was atrocious, he went 14 for 22. And then in their bowl game against Tulane, G5 Tulane, that they won 33-8, he went 22 for 35. So that was his best game throughout that year. And it was against a G5 team. So I see the hype. I get the hype, but also them stats don't lie, baby. He didn't have to do much against those last 3 wins of the season, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. You don't even have over 15 completions. So a lot of his guys, he was throwing it to them. They were making plays for him, but the quantity of it wasn't as high, in my opinion, to just give him the belt of best quarterback in the SEC. And he's injury prone a little bit from what we saw of his freshman year. He was a little banged up. So is he overall the injuries? And is he good being the man? Like, hey, you ain't got to worry about backup coming in. No Graham Mertz, who somehow is better than freaking Quinn Ewers. That's what the draft people say, or that's what these NFL teams say. Still confused about that, but whatever. I digress a little bit. DJ Lagway, I'm going to have to see a little bit more than what them stats you put up, bro. Because 6-1's cool, but if you don't have 15 completions, Chip, I'm just saying, I need to see a little bit more, dog. A little bit more. But
yeah. Go back and look at Vince's numbers early as a quarterback. Now, Vince ended up as the number 1 quarterback in pass efficiency as a junior in his final season of college football, but he developed. And here's the thing. Florida returned 7 starters on defense. That was a pretty good defense last year, too. And they returned 8 starters on offense. So I'm not crowning them. I'm just saying they scare me because DJ Lagway is a guy who won't go away. He, like Sam Leavitt, wouldn't go away. Texas had that game put away, up 24-6 against Arizona State. And then a turnover, and then a 3-and-out. And suddenly Arizona State's scoring and converting 2-point conversions, and Texas is in an overtime game, almost losing it, except for 4th and 13. So those are the kind of quarterbacks that you keep your eye on because they don't ever think they're out of the game. I think DJ Lagway's in that category. I think John Mateer's in that category too.
Oh, man.
But I got to see more. I
definitely got to see more with John Mateer.
I got to see if this, Casey Concepcion and whoever, I can't even remember who they brought in.
Arbuckle?
Yeah, who did OU bring in?
Oh, you mean their players?
Yeah, OU's receivers. Deion Burks.
Yeah, Jaden Gibson.
Isaiah Satania. Okay. Yeah, I got to see more.
Giovanni Gibson. Yeah. They're real high on that Cal transfer, the running back.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to Like David Cutcliffe told me today about Arch Manning, the best friend of a quarterback is the run game. And Oklahoma had nothing last year. And they're putting a lot on Jaden Ott to be the guy. And he had a 1,300-yard rushing season 2 years ago. Then he had injuries last year. I mean, he's good. And if he's back to being healthy, but here's the thing, OU's offensive line was terrible last year. And I've said this before, they returned 4 starters on the offensive line. Is that a good thing?
It should be.
It should be. And maybe Ben Arbuckle's offense is so adaptable and friendly and easy to pick up on that everybody's like, oh, this is what we've been waiting for. It's all going to come together in one glorious burst of renewal. Phil Steele thinks Oklahoma is the number 1 surprise team in the nation, and it's possible. Venables' defense is going to be good. Venables' defense is going to be good, even without Stutzman, even without
Bowman,
without Billy Bowman. I still don't know how good they're going to be at corner. And Steve Sarkisian's going to pick apart the weakest links.
Yeah. They still got Peyton Bowman. Peyton Bowman could play. The other safety.
Yeah. And they got Robert Spears Jennings still.
Yeah.
That dude's been in college for 8 years.
He has been there for a minute.
So they got some dudes.
Yeah, Kip Lewis could play.
Yeah, Kip Lewis is the one that gets you because he's a good player, and he anchors that linebacker position. It's gonna be a hell of a game. That's gonna be a hell of a game.
Damn, my man Coach 420 saying Arch putting up 50
Ooh,
on Brent Venables in Oklahoma.
Remember that 0-3 game? Everyone thought it was going to be close. Yikes. Texas and OU, and VY was running for his life in that game. 0-4, they got shut out. I think it's going to be a great game. And it's in the first half of the season, so Texas is fortunate because they got their big games are spread out. You got Ohio State to start, you got Florida and Oklahoma in kind of the middle, and then you got Georgia late. And A&M. We'll see. We'll see if Marcel Reed is that guy. Everyone's waiting to see if Marcel Reed is that guy. What do you think of Marcel Reed?
I think he has a lot of talent. I think if you put talent around him also, then Colin Klein could work some magic up. But yeah, I thought last year not having those running backs, I thought that kind of put I don't know, it made them a little bit more predictable. And now Marcel Reed, you don't have to worry about the whole Connor Wegman situation. I think that could distract a quarterback. You want to go out there and prove why them making you the starter over Wegman was the right move. And I thought sometimes that might have played into Marcel Reed struggling a little bit, because when he first got the gig and when he first got opportunities, he was thriving. But we all know these coaches who get paid a lot of money, they're going to go into the lab and they're going to figure out what your weaknesses are, and they're going to try to exploit that as much as possible. And I thought that's what happened with Reed. And again, the talent's there. We saw what he did in Gainesville. Like some of the moves he was putting on those Florida defenders, they're still icing their ankles from that day. Because Marcel Reed, he was just slicing through them. So that guy is in there. If he can figure it out, A&M, I get why some folks think they could be scary, but
yeah, and A&M's the one that got KC Concepcion and Mario Craver, the kid from Mississippi State, in their receiving corps because they lost Noah Thomas to Georgia. Georgia picked up Noah Thomas and Zachariah Branch from USC after leading the nation in drops last year. Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia's receivers led the nation in drops.
It's crazy.
Kirby's going to roll in here tomorrow, which I can't believe. I can't believe we have Texas and Georgia on the same day. It pisses me off.
Why I gotta be so mad?
I gotta be following Texas wherever they go. I don't have to. I want to be able to listen to Kirby and the other players, but anyway,
I got you. I'll be doing my homework and stuff. I'll be taking my notes. So when we come back on Wednesday, we can do a deep dive into Georgia Bulldogs and what Gunnar Stockton and Kirby Smart had to say. You know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, Gunnar Stockton. Another one.
Stockton.
Enigma. Now, if you'd have told me Carson Beck's coming back to play college football and he's not returning to Georgia, I'd be like, wow. That dude was like, Kirby couldn't say enough good things about him at this time a year ago. And he won some big games. But, man, he gets banged up against Texas. And then they lose to Notre Dame in the playoff and all bets are off. Carson's packing and leaving, or do you think it was all for the nookie?
I think a little bit was for the nookie, which come to find out, old Cavender twin broke up with his ass because apparently, as rumors say, Carson Beck, kind of a playboy, kind of one of them dudes out there that
Chicka-bow now
can't be trusted. And if you have a guy that can't be trusted in the beautiful city of Miami, Florida, hey, that's what I'm telling you. Bert Auburn, you think Bert Auburn's locked in right now?
Hold on. Let's stay with Carson Beck for a minute. You telling me.
We'll go back to Carson Beck, but Bert Auburn ain't locked in. And Carson Beck, according to Kirby Smart, or the way it seems, he wasn't locked in either because he was so quick to jump ship. Like, this is a guy that was projected to be the number one pick of the draft last year.
Right.
Coming into Dallas SEC Media Days 2024, a lot of people on their mock draft board had Carson Beck as that guy to be the number one overall pick. Nobody was even talking about Cam Ward at all. So to go from that to Gunnar Stockton, the way the team, I forget, I'm paraphrasing here on what Kirby exactly said, but the way that he was like, oh, this team plays harder for Stockton.
Yeah, remember that?
That was weird, man. That was weird that Kirby did that. Because I'm bringing back Carson Beck. Yeah, he got hurt. So what? Like, Gunnar Stockton doesn't have much film on him. Everybody's going to look at that Notre Dame film until the season starts and he gets more film under his belt. He completely shocked Pete Kwiatkowski and the Texas defense in that SEC championship game last year. It's like they didn't even know who Gunnar Stockton was with how he orchestrated that first drive of the second half, which completely turned that game around. So Marcus Freeman, they were ready for that. They were like, yo, this guy, he ain't got much experience under his belt. We going to attack his ass. He ain't going to surprise us. We know he's tough. We know he likes to run. Their receivers last year, nobody was afraid of them. And that's why that game at the Sugar Bowl played out the way it did. So a lot of people are thinking that's going to be the same this year and that Gunnar Stockton's not going to be able to elevate those Bulldogs like a Stetson Bennett did. But this is Kirby Smart we're talking about. Like, Kirby deserves more respect. And if Kirby thinks that Gunnar Stockton's the guy, a big part of me believes that. Like, damn, Kirby.
Right, he wasn't going to match Miami's NIL offer.
Yeah.
But let me say this. This is Carson Beck was Tony Romo last year.
Mm.
And no better example than the Alabama game. Beck throws 3 interceptions and then plays the most brilliant fourth quarter you've ever seen. He drives them 80 yards in 6 plays for a touchdown, 8-yard pass to Lawson Lucky. They cut a 33-15 lead by Bama to 33-21. Then he drives them 78 yards in 4 plays. Dylan Bell 3-yard touchdown run. And then the 1-play 67-yard touchdown pass to Dylan Bell to give Georgia a 34-33 lead. And then 13 seconds later, Ryan Williams 75-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Milroe. Like, that wasn't Carson Beck's fault, giving up that 75-yard touchdown pass. But what do you do with that? Because Carson Beck had interceptions against Texas. But Georgia's defense was so good, it didn't matter. Because they weren't giving up sudden change points. So Carson Beck, we know he can do it. He lit up Alabama's defense in the fourth quarter. They probably should have won that game. But the defense gave up a 75-yard touchdown pass, and that's Kirby's baby. Like, everyone's like, oh, Kirby has an Alabama problem. And it's carried over from Saban to Kalen DeBoer. And Texas fans are like, man, we got a Georgia problem. So let's see what kind of, let's see what old Kyle Flood and Steve Sarkisian are doing to reinforce that offensive line against the Bulldogs. But Carson Beck, he showed he can do it. That fourth quarter against Alabama was ridiculous. Totally Tony Romo-like.
Yeah, and like who knows how locked in he was mentally, because it has to be deflating to know that I might put this ball on the money, but my wide receivers, they could muck it up in a heartbeat. Like, it's not very common when Georgia football is leading the nation in drops.
Right.
You don't see that very often. You mentioned how Kirby, he had a culture problem last year. And I thought you were right about a lot of that, with all the things that they have to deal with off the field, with all the reckless driving and this, that, and the third. And now you got to act like your culture is as strong as ever, when clearly it wasn't. Like, there was something seriously going on with Georgia. And you think this year, with a quarterback who, in my opinion, isn't as good as Carson Beck, can negate all those culture issues that they had. Like, is that possible? Can they get back to that terrifying intimidation Georgia football that we've seen throughout the last few years? It wouldn't put it past me that they can, but also, just how much do you believe in Gunnar Stockton? But if you can win with Stetson Bennett, and this ain't no knock on Stetson, he was the man. They need to put a statue outside of that Athens stadium for Stetson.
He was elite the last 2 years.
Boy, Stetson was the man. So I'm not going to put it past Kirby to find another one of those Stetson Bennett type players and Gunnar Stockton. You just have to think that for Georgia, this could be a down year. This could be a 9-3, 8-4 season.
Carson Beck threw 3 interceptions against Texas and then put a drive together as well. That's exactly right. Because Ngati Barron's interception set up a touchdown. Zaya Bond, 2-point conversion. It's a 23-15 game. And then Beck, after throwing 3 interceptions, put together a drive, big old clock-eating drive that salted the game away. So,
yeah, I'll never forget that drive. Like, you're in Georgia territory on a 3rd and long, and Manny Muhammad gives up a deep in route. And that's kind of what just started that drive. And I remember Baron Sorrell, he had a face mask penalty on that drive to continue it. And they got the ETN 4th down touchdown on that same drive. And it was just a lot of self-inflicting wounds for Texas during that point of the game. We're talking about the first matchup. But yeah, just little things like that can make or break a game. And hopefully this defense, which we've been talking about it all year long, we think this defense could be just as special as that 2024 squad, even though they don't have Andrew Makuba or the Thorpe Award winner and Jade Barron or Baron Sorrell, Vernon Broughton, Alfred Collins, et cetera, et cetera. This defense is still going to be for real, and they're going to take it personal when they have to go into Athens. Like, yo, y'all are the reason why we didn't win the SEC championship. Like, y'all are the reason why we had 2 losses this past year. That should piss you off. I know Mookie Taz probably pissed off. Guy that doesn't like to lose at all. And I'm sure the rest of the Horns are feeling that same type of hate. So as tough as a game that's going to be, tough as the atmosphere is going to be, I think this Horns team will be ready for it.
can you imagine? Chip, are you going to throw empty water bottles during Kirby's presser? Man, I mean, there's good stuff. There's good stuff between these two teams already. And right now, Georgia's been doing the last laughing.
Yeah.
But
oh, yeah. And Texas has been going into the Peach State, getting recruits and stuff.
ooh.
Come on, man. If I'm Kirby, hell no. Hell no. Like, I'm Nick Saban's number 1, Steve. Don't even get it twisted. Now that Nick's gone and retired, which I heard Greg McElroy's reports today about Nick Saban possibly coming back, which I don't know if you heard that, Chip, or you know, that word is starting to spread around SEC media days or whatever. Like, I feel like Greg McElroy is a pretty credible source, especially talking about his former coach, Nicholas Saban. But
where would he come back?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what does that mean? What, like, is he going to be a coordinator? I know folks are joking about it. I've seen Texas fans say, oh, Sark hiring Nick Saban as an analyst is going to be epic. Hell no, Miss Terry ain't going to allow that. Absolutely
I don't know.
not.
I mean, listen, the man's got a statue in Tuscaloosa. He's still living there, right?
I would think he is. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty nice house that he has out there.
That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. We know he loves having a boat and being on a lake, which he's got a house on a lake in Alabama with a boat. I had not heard that, but I've been off in my own world.
Oh, yeah. I was shocked when I saw that. I had to make sure it wasn't.
Is that like gaining traction?
AI or anything? Not really. But it's out there because of who it came from. The fact that it came from Greg McElroy.
Right.
That's what makes it
right.
Interesting.
That was his quarterback in the national championship.
And I remember exactly what he said. I saw our guy Brett McMurphy put out a tweet talking about it.
Ooh, okay. I'm seeing
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah, you see. Yeah.
I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, go ask around while you in the ATL, man. Go ask around like, what the hell does this mean? Because it's just weird. It's weird timing, too. First day of SEC Media Days, this comes out. And again, I'm not saying Greg McElroy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Like, I appreciate what Greg McElroy brings to the media world. I think he does a terrific job on the Four Letter Network, and he's definitely in the know what college football is, especially with his background. And he's also a Texan coming from South Lake Carroll. So Greg McElroy, that's my dog from afar. But man, this was from left field, it seems like.
Wow. I mean, maybe he's looking at his old boy, Bill Belichick, coming into the college game, and Nick's like, don't you even think about coming in here and trying to be some, college coach of a significance. Let me get back in the game and slap you around.
Ain't no way Bill Belichick is the example. If anything, Bill Belichick is the example to stay out the game.
Yeah.
At this point.
Right.
But
man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Is Nick there? Have you seen Nick around?
Greg McElroy.
Have you seen Nick around? He was there last year.
I haven't seen him yet.
Okay.
I haven't seen him yet. BK, have you seen Nick Saban around? No, he hasn't seen him either.
Okay.
How about that? Poor Kalen DeBoer. I mean, he's just trying to get off the ground. Like now he's got to deal with this. Every Alabama fan's like, wait, what? Nick Saban's coming back? He ain't coming back here?
Oh, man.
I mean, I think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach, but that dude, I mean, between the loss to OU, the loss to Vanderbilt, and now this, Nick Saban coming back to coach. Alabama fans like, hey, we'll help Kalen DeBoer pack and leave.
Wow.
But right? I mean, Bama fans can't stomach Nick Saban coaching anywhere but Bama.
Right. I mean, now Gary Patterson clearly isn't Nick Saban, but there are some guys that just, it's hard for them to leave it alone. That competitive nature, it's in them. It's in their blood.
Well, and Saban could still become the first ever to win national championships at 3 different schools. That's never happened. So watch out.
Nah, I can't see it. Like, coming back to coach college, especially all the NIL stuff going on, like,
right.
That was a big reason why he got out the game.
Right. When Caleb Downs was like, hey, coach, how we looking on that NIL money?
Yeah, coach, what's up?
Because Ohio State's throwing a bag at me.
Yeah. Right after the Michigan game, exit meetings.
Ooh.
Exit meetings. Nick's trying to let you know, hey, what you need to work on in the summer. How much weight you need to put on or how much weight you have to lose. And these guys are talking about, coach.
Can I get a raise?
Yeah. I need some more paper. Nick's like, you need to work on your game, son. I'm like, I'll do that after I get my paper, coach. I can see the disconnect from that.
Hey, and Caleb Downs is the truth.
Yeah. I
He
feel like it's
he
going to
might
be a
he,
lonely season for Caleb.
he might have been justified. Caleb might have been justified walking into his exit meeting with Saban saying, yeah, coach, I know I need to work on my quarters coverage a little bit more, but let's talk money.
He's probably the only one. Everybody else on that team, especially after you lose to Michigan the way they lost. Like that's foul. That's foul work there. So I get Nick being a little fed up with where college athletics is. But if you're not able to adapt to that Steve Sarkisian always says, then you're going to be like them dinosaurs. You're going to become extinct. You're going to get left behind.
How about this? Naaman's got a friend who plays volleyball at Florida. Her name is Jayla August. She was the SEC Freshman of the Year. She's from the Woodlands. All right, way to go, Jayla. That's good to know. Of course,
she's trying to transfer.
Yeah, maybe she needs to transfer to Texas.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I'm good with that. Arian Elliott could use some.
Rodney says, "Forgive me, I'm just tuning in, but is Chip at the KFC museum?"
Yeah.
I got it. We'll work on a spotlight or something for tomorrow.
How was the food day one? That's what I'm missing. I'm missing the food. The food was crazy last year.
Food was good. Caesar salad, red fish.
Red fish?
Oh yeah.
Bro.
Some like crispy mac and cheese. Like,
oh man.
Yeah, some pecan pie.
Yo, he gonna piss me off, man.
I mean, all we had to do was bring up Rodney asking if I'm at the KFC museum, and we got going on food.
Oh man, I knew it was gonna be good. Atlanta, their food's A1, so I'm not.
I didn't even tell you this. Well, first of all, BK and I were on the flight together out here, and we were flying Southwest, and the guy who was like the flight attendant who was on the microphone thought it was open mic night at comedy club. He was so bad. We wanted to punch him in the face as we walked off the plane. But then I get to the hotel and they are cranking tunes so loud that I thought Beyonce was performing in the hotel bar. Turns out she was performing at Mercedes right across the street. She's doing 4 shows here.
Damn.
And then you had WWE last night at a smaller venue.
What, State Farm? Where the Hawks play?
Yeah. So at the hotel, you had girls all dressed up like Beyonce. You had people wearing wrestling masks. It was like the strangest collection of fans you've ever seen. But yeah, I guess Beyonce's doing 4 shows here in Atlanta. I don't know what last night's show was in that. I don't know how many shows she's already done, but it's there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on here in the ATL.
Yeah.
Here in the A.
Now I saw you on TV when Brian Kelly had his, when he was up on the podium talking LSU and stuff. I ain't hear nobody laugh at his jokes at all.
Yeah.
What's wrong with y'all?
Brian Kelly. I told you, I feel like he's just going through the motions, man. And I love that dude. When he won national championships at Grand Valley State, I was like, oh, Brian Kelly. Then he goes to Cincinnati and he wins, or Central Michigan or wherever the hell he was. He won everywhere.
Yeah.
And then he goes to Notre Dame, and you're like, oh, man, now they're going to be good. Goes to the national championship game in year 3. And then he gets whatever he got. He got $10 million to go to LSU. And you're like, oh, now he doesn't have recruiting restrictions. If you can fog a mirror, you can get into LSU. It's not like Notre Dame. You're like, oh, man. But that fake Cajun accent he tried to pull off, like, I just feel like he's not, I don't know. This is not a fit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was awkward listening to him this morning, and he tried to hit you with some punchline jokes, and y'all ain't laugh at all. Like, not even a chuckle.
Not one chuckle.
Not one chuckle. And I'm like, damn, everybody, like, at least fake the laugh.
Yeah, we might have to get BK in here, get his thoughts on Brian Kelly.
Yeah, because it was just like, I don't know. It seems, it doesn't seem authentic. But the dude had James Daniels and all this talent around him and stuff. And it's just like, bro, you're cooler than this, Brian Kelly. Like, you have to be. And some guys are just a little lame, I guess.
All right, we got BK in here.
BK, what up?
BK for SEC Media Days in the dark.
In the dark.
What'd you think of Brian Kelly?
Oh, I thought you were having me on to talk about our horrible flight attendant from
that too.
The manservant, as Bucky calls him.
Oh my gosh. I want to punch that dude in the face.
Yeah, me too. That's all I've been thinking about.
He was playing music. He was playing like Top Gun soundtrack.
Yeah, right before takeoff, he's hitting us with Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. It's like, that's not really what I want to hear before taking off on a flight that we're already 3.5 hours late for. And then he hits us with a little.
Late?
Yeah, delayed.
Delayed.
Delayed. And then when we landed, it was Ray Charles, Georgia, right? That he played. He's got, the ultimate bits guy. And as a bits guy, normally I appreciate someone who's doing bits, but this guy was too much, man. He was auditioning he was hoping some talent scout in Hollywood or New York was on that plane that was like looking for the next flight attendant to turn into an actor or something. And his jokes didn't land. So
yeah, it was like open mic night. It was awful. It was awful. Like, some of those Southwest flight attendants are kind of, clever. This guy was just beating a dead horse. But then give me your take on Brian Kelly, because he was trying to crack jokes and no one laughed.
I'd be lying if I said I saw the press conference, so I don't have any takes, but that doesn't surprise me at all that that guy with his family that he always talks about, was he doing accents today?
Nope.
Was he trying that bit again?
I think he's learned that lesson, because that was a total what is happening here. What was he listening to Ed Orgeron tapes, trying to get it all figured out?
He doesn't have the game that Ed O has.
Oh my God.
We've learned since Ed O left that he's got a lot of games, eh?
Ed O's a player.
Yeah.
You see him with a new blonde. Every video that comes out, he got a different blonde with him. Yeah, Ed O, he gets around like Tupac.
I heard Ed O's divorce cost him a ton, and he might be looking to get back in the game.
Oof. Okay. Does anybody want Ed O now? Like, is he going to have to do G5? Is he going to have to, like Tom Herman, work his way back up to try to get a big gig? Because I don't think there's a team in this league that wants Ed O right now.
How did it go so left for Ed O? Because you coach one of the greatest teams of all time. Like, of all time, college football history. Like, Joe Burrow, that year, he was incredible. So to go from the highest peak where you could be to just the lowest now, like, what went wrong? Because it could have
made his deal with the devil.
The women. Yeah, it couldn't have been the women that have been just the biggest distraction for Ed Orgeron. Like, it had to be something else, right?
Well, he didn't like the air conditioning in in Austin.
Oh man, that's an all.
I mean, how crazy is it that at LSU, Les Miles won a national championship, Ed Orgeron won a national championship, and Brian Kelly,
Saban too. Their last three coaches have all won national titles. So that's why, Brian Kelly, I think any Texas fan would have taken 10 wins, 9 wins for Sark in his first 3 years. But because his three predecessors at LSU all won national championships, it's like, that ain't good enough.
Yeah.
There.
And their defense has been terrible. And that's like, dude, are you paying any attention? Are you even paying attention to your defense?
I was working on a stand-up act, apparently.
Yeah. I still can't get over the fact that I heard from a really good source that Brian Kelly was like meh about Bo Davis coming to be the D-line coach, that was Scott Woodward's doing, the athletic director. Like, hey, this guy, we can get this guy. And then Brian Kelly was like, okay, what's so special about this guy? And then Bo Davis wanted out, and he left. So Blake Baker better be all that as the defensive coordinator, because Jalen Milroe was going up and down the field last year on that defense.
Yeah, when he was speaking on Blake Baker and the defense this upcoming season, he talked about basically they had have the Jimmies and the Joes last year for Blake Baker to work with. And now that Blake Baker has all that and they hit the portal harder than they ever have throughout Kelly's tenure, it should be a lot different this year. Like, weeks will be available week 1, that first game against Clemson, and so will Harold Perkins. So if those guys are playing at the top of their game, like, obviously we love the Texas-Ohio State game, be it the top game of week 1, but I'm going to have my eye on that Clemson-LSU one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part of that game being big noon kickoff, right? I think most Texas fans are like, damn, we got to play this game at 11 a.m. But you get that one at 11, and then the night game is Clemson LSU. So like you get the appetizer in the morning, and you get the main course. I guess for Texas fans, the main course is 11 a.m. But you get both huge games to watch in standalone spots.
Huge.
So it'll be fun. But yeah, LSU's lost 5 straight week 1 games?
Straight.
So
openers.
They need one of those at some point. I know you could still make the playoff if you lose a game in week 1, but it'd be nice for Brian Kelly to start off with a win for once.
BK, any other big takeaways for you from today?
No, my big takeaways is I gotta figure out the Wi-Fi. I gotta remember how to get to this table because I was 10 minutes late to the morning show today because I didn't know where the hell to go. No one who's working here knows where anything is.
Right.
So it's bring it back to Dallas.
Well, you heard Brian Kelly.
No, I didn't.
He was lost
for an hour.
No way.
He said he was lost for an hour in the Omni.
Yeah.
I was like, don't admit that.
Well, half the stuff is in the Omni, half the stuff is in the College Football Hall of Fame, and they didn't do a great job of telling people where stuff was.
Right.
So now last year's you were obviously there, and like everything was in one place. Like you couldn't miss it. It was all right there, easy to get around. And this year it's just I don't know why they keep. I've talked to some guys who have been going to SEC Media Days for years, and they were here last time it was in Atlanta, and they're also like, we don't know why they keep coming back here. Like nobody enjoys this setup that they have. So either Atlanta's paying a bunch of money, or they just love Georgia so much that they've got to throw them a bone every once in a while. But this place has not gotten the most rave of reviews.
Well, and it sounds great that the SEC Media Days are in the College Football Hall of Fame. Like, what a flex.
Yeah.
This is our media days are right, in the College Football Hall of Fame. Well, it's not easy to navigate. Sounds good.
I don't even know where Brian Kelly spoke. I don't even know where the coaches are speaking. Is that in this building? Is that over there? It's downstairs.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
But he said he was lost for an hour in the Omni. I was like, oh my God, that's embarrassing, dude. You can ask somebody. You can ask somebody for help. You see like the old man with the map in the car and like, I'm going to find it.
Doesn't he have an SID or somebody with him who's
Right.
supposed to know these kinds of things?
Makes me think that like no one wants to be around him, and he's just
God.
out there by himself, just roaming around like a
Funny.
old man at a retirement community.
How close is the Omni Hotel to the College Football Hall of Fame?
It's like
Right next
yeah,
door.
it's like
Okay, so it's walking
50
distance.
yards.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
walking
that's
distance.
close.
Yeah.
But,
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
all right, I'll be listening. I didn't hear enough of people who spoke today, so I have no takes for y'all.
Well, thanks for letting us do the morning show tomorrow.
Of course, it'll be a fun
Appreciate
listen.
you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. All right, y'all be good.
All right, buddy. All right, let's get a couple mentions in here with our incredible travel partners, including 7-Eleven. I love 7-Eleven. After we won the semifinal city playoff match, Zay, I had to go to 7-Eleven and get me a Slurpee extra large. It's my greatest vice. I cannot pass a 7-Eleven without going to get a Slurpee. I just freaking love it. So make 7-Eleven your stop for that incredible, refreshing drink. And don't forget to become a part of the 7-Eleven rewards program on the free 7-Eleven app as well. So earn free stuff every time you shop at the best convenience store on the planet, 7-Eleven. And how about the Port O'Connor Premier Lodge? Love the Port O'Connor Premier Lodge and all of our incredible sponsors. If you're looking for a great way to spend a weekend this summer and you don't want to travel halfway across the planet to do it, head down to Port O'Connor and check out the Premier Lodge, the Port O'Connor Premier Lodge. It's an all-inclusive fishing and hunting lodge that provides several different services and packages that will specifically meet your wants and needs, from bay fishing to flounder gigging to navigation tours and evening cruises. Our friends at Port O'Connor Premier Lodge are sure to provide you with excellent service and memories you won't soon forget. So reach out to our friend Captain Rhino at 361-210-8494 or go to POCPremierLodge.com. And audiovisual consultations, our man Tom McKay. We're at SEC Media Days. That means football season's right around the corner. So make the call to AV Consultations to get hooked up for the upcoming season. Let Tom and his crew bring everything to you, from big screen TVs to home theaters to Sonos surround sound to new lighting, surveillance. AV Consultations has everything you need to make your home the place to be for football season. Give them a call, 255-8678, or find them online at avconsultations.com. All right, Zay. I hope everyone heads over to horns247.com and checks out the interview I did earlier with David Cutcliffe, who was the offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning at Tennessee, the head coach and offensive play caller for Eli Manning at Ole Miss, and probably the coach who knows the Manning family the best. He's also very close to Archie Manning, who was the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft in 1971 and played 14 years in the NFL at quarterback for the Saints, the Oilers. And David Cutcliffe told me, I don't know if there's ever been a young quarterback facing more pressure than Arch Manning. And we'll probably get a pretty good, glimpse of that tomorrow when Arch and Anthony Hill Jr., Michael Taft, and Steve Sarkisian take the stage here at SEC Media Days. But he also said that he's been raised the right way, that Archie and Olivia Manning did a great job with Peyton and Eli, that Cooper Manning and his wife Ellen, both very successful in their own careers, have done an excellent job in raising Arch, in that his shoulders are strong enough and his blinders are effective enough to ignore the noise. And I'll just say this. David Cutcliffe said he gave him a couple pieces of advice. One of them, focus on being the best teammate you can possibly be. He said, because that's going to be the lasting legacy with your team. That, oh man, this dude was the best teammate. And he said he told Arch, you don't work football, you play football. So remember to play a game you love and don't treat it like work. Make sure you're enjoying yourself. Make sure you're going out there with a love of the game, a spirit that is contagious, so that practices become like a game with trash talk, and make it spirited, make it fun. Don't make it work, because make it work, but don't make it feel like work.
Right.
Make sure you're playing a game, having fun with it. And he feels like Arch has done that. He's been to practice, he's seen him. And he said, look, he can't do it alone. And he said the best friend of a quarterback is a run game. And Texas, on paper, appears to have a run game. And we got to see how that offensive line can open holes for the run game, especially against teams like Ohio State, Florida, Georgia, A&M. So, pretty cool stuff from a man who was the college coach of Peyton Manning and Eli Manning.
Yeah,
Where's your chip shot?
One of my favorite things with Cutcliffe is when there's some NFL films out there. I don't know what platform it's on exactly, but it's when Eli and Peyton, during their playing days, they went to Duke to work out with Cutcliffe and just to chop it up with him and pick his brain, because obviously he meant so much to their careers that they were able to do those things and like watch film, and they like have it all on tape, and they're like laughing and cracking jokes and just having a great time. And I feel like they did that a lot during their playing days. So Cutcliffe, man, he's a legend. And for him to say that about Arch Manning, like, not too many know the Manning family like David Cutcliffe does. So, yeah, it's cool. Can't wait to go read that article on Horns 24/7 a little bit after the show. But, yeah, like, I don't know how Arch is going to deal with all this pressure. I hope it's going to be smooth sailing and easy. And I'll continue to say his teammates got to have his back at all times, man. And they've done a good job with that. And Arch has done a good job with it too. Like, for example, going to St. Louis for Ryan Wingo's summer camp and just being present in the things that his teammates have going on and off the field. Like, that's important. Like, you can't just say you're a good teammate. Show me you're a good teammate. Show me why we should have your back at all times. And Arch Manning, especially how his uncles did it and how his family operates, like, that comes easy to him. So I think him just having the whole team's confidence in him, that's already there. Like, I don't think there's going to be anything that is going to be a problem with that. Now you just got to show that you're the man on the field and that you could get it done and put your team in the best situations possible to have success. And that's what we're going to wait on. August 30th, we're going to see a good glimpse of that. But, yeah, man, it's going to be crazy tomorrow. Again, dog, ice those knees, ice those elbows, put on that Rocky music, do some shadow boxing in the mirror or something, because tomorrow, you media folks at SEC Media Days, damn, it's going to be something.
Well,
I can't wait to see.
And one more thing before we get to the right call. The MLB draft is going on, and we said that Texas's third base commit Gavin Fine, who was selected by the Texas Rangers in the first round, and shortstop Kason Cunningham, who was selected by the Diamondbacks in the first round, were not going to be signing, or not. Excuse me. They signed. They wouldn't make it to campus. They're not going to make it to campus. But as of 5 minutes ago, Rylan Galvan still has not been drafted.
That's odd, man.
And this is weird. We know that Texas has already signed Buster Posey finalist Carson Tinney from Notre Dame in anticipation, because if you're a junior, you lose your leverage. If you come back to school. Now, if you're not ready or you love baseball, you want to come back and try and win a national championship, that's one thing. Paul Skeens, he played, I think he played 4 years. Maybe that 1 year at LSU was his junior. I can't quite remember. But anyway, if you're good, you're good. But Rylan Galvan, who's a fantastic college player, fantastic player for Texas, he would get some MVP votes on that team last year that won the SEC regular season championship. So, Max Ballou's been drafted, but Texas catcher Rylan Galvan, who has a year of eligibility remaining, has not yet been drafted. So I'll make some calls after the show, try and find out what's going on. But just something to keep an eye on.
I would say, just watching Texas baseball this past season, like, if you want to find any flaws with Rylan Galvan, it would be his guys trying to steal second. And I don't know what his percentage was, but it seemed like it wasn't good on throwing guys out. And obviously a lot has to go into that. Like, your pitcher has to be locked in, to the guy possibly stealing second base, and the catcher has to be locked in. But I remember guys stealing on Rylan Galvan a little more than Jim Schlossnagle probably would have liked. Other than that, I thought he was flawless. Like, when it came to hitting, he was most consistent overall. Like, everything else just seemed he was solid, to where you wouldn't think at this part of the draft he wouldn't be selected yet. So, again, I don't know. There's obviously a lot more people that know more than I when it comes to baseball and these prospects, but it is weird. It's weird to see that Rylan Galvan, as good as he was overall this past season, isn't getting much love. So
you had Jared Spencer go in the 11th round to the Toronto Blue Jays. Jalen Flores went in the 11th round as well. And Rylan Galvan is still waiting. But let's get to the right call with Zay Collier.
Appreciate it, brother. Before the right call, though, got to give a shout out to Covert BK, family owned and operated automotive dealerships that have been serving the greater Austin area for over 100 years. And we're a part of those customers at Covert BK. My wife and I, we love our Buick Encore GX. It's absolutely amazing. Took it out for a date night this weekend and still getting compliments on it. And you could be like us too, but it doesn't have to be Buick. They got 6 other brands besides Buick that you can check out, like GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. If you want to go see all the new and pre-owned vehicles, go check them out, their website at covertbeecave.com to see all the latest specials and inventory. Again, we went in there. It was such an easy process. We didn't feel pressured. We didn't feel like guys were trying to meet the quota. It was just simple. Got in, got out with our car, and now we couldn't be happier. So you could be like us and go to Covert Bee Cave now. Nobody beats a Covert deal. Not now, not ever. All right, Chip. So the right call today, I got to give a shout out to former Longhorn Trey Johnson, who has been tearing it up in the NBA Summer League. Now, you never want to get too high. You never want to get too low on Summer League, because we talked about last week, Cooper Flagg in his first game really struggled. 5 for 21. Didn't do much offensively, but in the second game, he put up big-time numbers scoring, and it was a completely different player. Trey Johnson, in his first 2 games in the Summer League, couldn't be more efficient. In his last game, he went 7 for 11 from the field, hit 2 threes, and dropped 21 points. The game before that, he went 7 for 13 from the field, 18 points, and knocked down 3 threes. So if you're watching him, man, he looks so comfortable out there, Chip. And I know the play that everybody saw that went completely viral is when he threw the ball off of the opposing team's leg. The guy closing out, Trey Johnson, got stuck trying to get off a jump shot, trying to get off a 3. The defender jumped. Trey threw it off the back of his leg, got the ball back, and then got a layup. Like the instincts that he has, being able to improvise on the fly at such a young age. We saw it this whole season for Texas basketball. And that's why I still think he should have went in front of VJ Edgecombe for Philadelphia at number 3. Even though Edgecombe has a lot of upside, tremendous athletic ability, Trey Johnson, his game fits so well for the modern NBA because his jump shot will always be there. Because there's going to be a point in time where Father Time catches up with VJ Edgecombe, and his athleticism won't be there like it was or like it is now. Like when you hit your 30s, when you hit past 28, like you're going to have to be able to adapt with all those miles under your belt to still be relevant in the NBA. So, yeah, sure, VJ Edgecombe can improve his jump shot to where what I'm saying might be irrelevant. But right now, man, Trey Johnson, he'll be able to play till he's 35 with that jump shot. And he's just going to get better. I've been very impressed. Like, yeah, playground instincts. Like, the dude is just, he's different. He's cut from a different cloth. And even though, as a team, Texas basketball, Rodney Terry and those guys were doing the team a disservice with all the ISO ball, Trey Johnson benefited from that. Because now he feels like he could get his shot off on anybody. You played in the toughest conference this past season in the SEC. Obviously, you're playing against big-time players and big-time athletes in the NBA, but his offense is going to stay the same. That jump shot is still pretty. His ball handling is still underrated, and it's going to be put on notice a lot more when people start to realize, like, damn, he has a tight handle. He gets to his spots well. He elevates well. That's his defense. That's the only thing that you have to worry about, which I think he held back defensively this year because he had to with Texas. He knew all the things that are going to be asked from him offensively. You can't be locked in defensively all the time. You're not going to be Patrick Beverly. So now that you're playing with other really good players, he'll be able to focus on his defense more. And when he gets on the actual Wizards team, he'll be able to play off guys like CJ McCollum and play off guys like Mark. It's just going to get better for him. So very impressed with Trey Johnson in the Summer League in these last 2 games. The dude is ready for this moment, and it's been fun to watch so far.
Yeah, I mean, his best basketball is no doubt about it ahead of him. He's going to raise his level. Because I think back to his Lake Highlands State Championship team. He was so far and away the best player on that team. Yeah. And then he comes to Texas, and he's kind of so far and away the best player on that team. And now he's getting around guys who can match him, and that's just going to push him to raise his level because he's got that ability. Yeah. And that's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, like I still can't get over that play where he threw it off the guy's leg. Like for your first game in an NBA uniform, like to have the cojones to try something like that and for it to pay off, that's different, man. That's different. And yeah, he's exactly where he needs to be. I'm excited to see his future. Moving on a little bit, we spoke about Teddy Bridgewater. You brought him up.
Hold on.
Oh,
breaking news.
Go ahead.
Rylan Galvan has been selected in the 13th round by the Chicago White Sox.
All right, we'll take it.
So we'll see what that means.
Okay, we'll take it. Good for him. You know.
Yeah, he needed that.
He definitely needed that. But so you spoke about Teddy Bridgewater earlier. Just, talking about how he
got Charlie Strong the Texas job.
Got Charlie Strong the Texas job. So remember last year, Teddy Bridgewater was coaching high school ball up in South Florida. I think his alma mater in high school, that's the team that he was coaching for. Yeah, in Miami, exactly. Miami Northwestern. He's been suspended for this upcoming season because Teddy apparently was giving his players a significant advantage that I guess other schools don't have the luxury of having because their coach wasn't in the NFL and their coach doesn't have that much to spend. But if you go break down what Teddy was doing exactly, tell me if this is wrong or not, Chip. So you
buy him hamburgers?
Yeah, things like that. He spent, now this is a little much. He spent $14,000 for a 4-night preseason training camp. He spent $9,500 on different type of clothes and different type of merch for the team. He spent $1,300 a week, and this
but it was team issue.
Say what?
It was team issue gear, like.
Yes, it was coming from his pocket.
It wasn't like fancy street clothes or anything.
No, it's team issued gear.
Team issued gear, sweats, jerseys, stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is where it gets a little dicey.
Okay.
He spent $1,300 a week on recovery trucks after games.
So like cold plunges.
Yeah, cold plunges.
Cryotherapy.
Yeah, different things of that. That's where I'm like, okay, Teddy, this is a lot.
So he's been suspended because he's trying to help his players recover.
Right. And then he also spent like $2,200 a week for pregame meals, and like $700 a week for Ubers, and $300 a week for field paint. So Teddy was blowing the bag on his team.
He was trying to raise the level, look good, feel good, play good, pay good.
Right. So everything besides the recovery, I'm cool with. That's the recovery thing. That's where it's like, okay, Teddy, like not everybody can have that. Not everybody has that. And look, I know the facilities at Bowie High School might look a little different than they do at, let's say, Northeast High School. Used to be called Reagan. But that's because they got booster clubs and different things like that. So Rob's exactly right. What's wrong with him being his own booster? Because Westlake, I'm sure Westlake High School has certain advantages that LBJ doesn't. That's just a fact. And nobody, our boy Todd Dodge, never got suspended for those things. So why is Teddy Bridgewater getting suspended for that? That's weird to me. That's really weird. I don't really understand it. I don't know what Florida's rules are. Clearly, Teddy Bridgewater has crossed those rules to where they had to go make this move to suspend him. But to me, if Teddy Bridgewater is willing to put up a lot of money for his team to have success and change these kids' lives, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, they still got to have players. They still got to go execute. They still got to learn the plays. They still got to practice and, be a team. If he wants to put up his own money so that his players are getting what maybe some other schools in Florida already have, then so be it. I don't get this, man. This sounds like a school board that went to another high school, and they don't want Teddy getting one up on them, and so we gotta suspend you for the year.
Yeah, and
are you kidding me?
And let's put this out there too. They won it all. They won a state championship. So like this isn't
these are haters.
This is hating.
This is hating. This is hating.
Straight up hating.
This is straight up hating. Teddy coached him to a state championship.
Right. He coached him to a state championship. Yes.
And then they find out that he was doing all this while they were winning the state championship.
Correct.
Tough. Get over it. Go get your booster club to raise some money.
Right.
Get you some cold plunges and some nice gear and some good food.
Yeah, go OG style. Get you some big ass trash cans, fill it up with ice water, and sit in there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, let's just call a spade. Y'all don't have the athletes that they do at the school that Teddy Bridgewater is coaching at.
They got some athletes down there.
They got athletes. This is South Florida. They got athletes. And who knows, like Teddy Bridgewater coming from South Florida, they're very tight about their football community. He didn't go to Miami. He didn't go to Coral Gables. He didn't go to Gainesville. He didn't go to Tallahassee. So there's probably some folks out there that are still salty that he went all the way up to Louisville, Kentucky to play.
Yeah, and then he beat Florida's ass in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
On his way out.
So yeah, man, you're right. This is just
pure haterade.
Hating at its finest. And again, you know me, I'm a hater too, but not this type of hater. I ain't hating on the kids.
Come on,
man. That's what you want. That's what coaching is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure Cece would have done the same thing if we had that type of paper. We have that type of paper. But
yeah, I mean, I'm I mean, not a lot of coaches would spend their own dough
Right?
to do all that. So, way to go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you real quick before we hand it off to Patrick. I'll tell you a place to go spend your dough. Sue Patrick, for the best selection of Texas Longhorn gear you can find. Then go to Sue Patrick, located at 5222 Burnett Road, 5222 Burnett Road, and online at SuePatrick.com. They have everything you need to gear up for football season, from polos to jerseys to schedule, glasses and T-shirts, and so much more. They've got all the Texas gear your burnt orange heart desires. Tons of free parking at the store and free shipping. Online orders over $49. Go see our friends at Sue Patrick. All right, let's bring in our Patrick, our own Patrick Davis. No relation to Sue Patrick.
Yeah, man. No, it's a terrible name for a store because it has encouraged lawsuits against me for too long. I support the merchandise and the good people at Sue Patrick, but the name I cannot stand. It's just encouraging legal battles against Patrick. I can't afford a lawyer. We all know that.
Yeah, leave Patrick alone. Hey, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Don't forget, Chip and Zay sitting in for Bucky and BK tomorrow morning, 7 to 9, so that we can clear the decks for the Longhorns at SEC Media Day. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I'm about to go to sleep right now. Shit, 7 a.m. Good grief. See you guys.
See ya. Welcome into Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Myself, Patrick Davis, joined today by my man Steven from Fanatic Perspective, hanging out today. Matt is en route to SEC Media Days. He'll be there tomorrow, giving us all the down low of everything that's going on. We'll be talking a lot of SEC Media Days as well. Today is, anytime we get all the coaches and the teams together, it's a fun thing to do, to sit around and talk about it. But I appreciate you joining me again, Steven. You have a good weekend?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to be on. I appreciate the back signal going up to bring me on. It's a good Monday to talk about a lot. Summer League, SEC Media Days, all sorts of great topics out there. Some Spurs talk out of here. I know I'm kind of the resident NBA guy whenever I come on. So excited to cover a whole bunch. Good weekend, but great to be here with you, Patrick.
Always good. Always good. I finally it was finally clear enough to get in the pool and just drink beer in the pool all day, which is fantastic. It helped the buddy move in the morning. So you're just nice and sweaty, and then you get in the pool and it just feels great. So enjoyed that on a Saturday, and then Sunday, I'm too old now, so you just stay inside after you do that outside one day. You got to go back inside.
Got to have that recovery day built in.
Yes, the recovery day is very important for me at the current age I'm at. I can no longer just do the back-to-back days and all. I mean, I've tried it every once in a while. You try and go 2, but if I go 3 days in a row now, it's a problem on that. That 4th day is a real problem.
Can't rally like you used to.
Not at all. Not at all. Used to be a real champ at it. Also, shout out Garrett Wilson, Lake Travis kid, doing big things. Gets a 4-year, $130 million deal. That's $32.5 million a season over at the Jets. That would lead you to believe. They've also said Sauce Gardner is the other big plan. Those 2 guys are 2 big ones. If I'm Breece Hall and I hear that, not thrilled. Now, he didn't have a great season last year. But I think this is a big year for Breece Hall because he just got word that maybe he is not necessarily in the plans long term right now, that his contract, he may be available sooner rather than later. So, but $32.5 million for Garrett Wilson. That's big money.
Congrats to him. Very productive so far. We'll get to see him reunited with Justin Fields this season. He's been almost quarterback proof when you think about his production, and who's also been opposite of him playing with Devontae Adams last year after the trade. So congrats to him. He's a true professional. I wish he didn't rock the sloppy sleeves that he does, the long sleeves, but he deserves the bread nonetheless.
We'd have to ask Zay if he's still with Shea Holly. I don't keep up with all the relationship stuff. I don't know. I know they were dating last year, so who knows? But congrats to her if they are, because that's a lot of money to be bringing in. But yeah, it's been a good day. Been watching SEC media days all day. I've got Summer League on the TV now because you got to get back to the Summer League. We've only got till Thursday of like the whole round robin. We're already seeing players getting dropped out. So already players kind of starting to be like, nope. I saw him step awkwardly once, so he's done with Summer League. He ain't playing again.
Got to protect your investment.
Exactly. So we'll see that. But SEC Media Days all morning watching that. We had 4 different teams come to the podium today, along with Greg Sankey to come in. But we saw Brian Kelly and Shane Beamer and Lane Kiffin and Clark Lee all take the stand to take the podium today and talk a little bit about their team. I want to get into those things. Rob, yes, Summer League is enjoyable of watching the next generation of players. I enjoy watching it. I would not watch Summer League if there was a lot of other stuff on, but there's nothing else on. So there's no other sports. So I watch Summer League, and I'll watch I watch some baseball too. I had no idea the home run derby was tonight. I figured that out at like 2 p.m. today, that the home run derby was tonight when I was watching SEC Media Days, and they go, and we're in Atlanta and the All-Star
There's a lot
game
going on. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, the All-Star game's in Atlanta, like when next week? Oh, it's this week. Oh, wow. You guys have done a really bad job promoting that.
I only could tell you that because I was working out of Atlanta all of last week. And when I was at one of the hotels I was at is one of the host hotels for the All-Star game. So they have it plastered everywhere across the city. But that's the only reason, that I knew SEC Media Days was coming to Atlanta. But I was also thinking, like, wow, there's going to be a lot going on here next week between MLB and SEC Media Days. But, fun time for Atlanta if you're down there.
No, and I'll watch some baseball, but I will watch basketball over baseball because I played basketball my whole life. I love basketball. That's my sport I love watching the most. The Spurs also have a lot of young guys in there. I'll give that an hour 2. We're gonna push hour 2 for basketball, but I do appreciate it. And baseball, it's fun to watch, but mid-season baseball, if it's not the Astros, who's my team, there's not a lot. So I'll watch them at night, and you watch basketball during the day.
Let me give a quick answer to Rob's question, just to help with relatability. Yeah. The Summer League is the closest thing we have to a spring game in our sport. Just think about it that way. If a spring game is on and you're tapped into your team, you're going to be watching the spring game, regardless of how good the product is. You're tapped in because you want to see the next up and coming players. That's what it is for us.
Exactly. That's all it is. It's a little fun, and it's a week. And that's like the big difference between it and baseball. Baseball will be there for me next week. I have no worries. Baseball will be waiting for me next week. When Summer League wraps up, I'll have plenty more baseball to watch.
And baseball ramps going into September, like the intensity, when rotations are set, when the trades happen, right? There's a lot TBD with baseball still in terms of, Ohtani just came back pitching a month ago. Like there's still baseball's not all the way ramped yet. That's a marathon in itself.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I mean, I'm also somewhat dreading watching the second half because the Astros have been too good early. And it's really hard. And then the last last 6 games, they went 1-5, I think, in the last 6 games. So I maybe am a little bit dreading this second half of the season as an Astros fan. That I feel like we peaked at 18-1 versus the Dodgers, and now it's just a lot of downhill for me. So we're gonna hope for the best, though. We're gonna hope for the best for them, except for all the Texas fans, who are the Rangers fans, who have no love for the Astros. I'm aware. Let's get into some SEC Media Days talk, Steve. We can start it off. We'll just kind of go through the teams as they went through today. And Greg Sankey coming off. He came off the top rope quick. He was like, SEC, you guys want to talk about super conferences? We are one. It's like we don't need to add more teams. We are already a super conference. We are the benchmark. We are everything. And really came off the top rope. Like, I get y'all are comparing us to the Big Ten. No, it's the SEC. It's not the SEC and Big Ten. And then no. It is the SEC. Everyone's below us. Greg Sankey came out strong trying to preach that message on early. He did get into a little bit of the House settlement because we got a lot of news this morning that the College Sports Commission has turned down deals as they said they would, that they do not feel fit into name, image, and likeness and are more pay for play. And they said they would turn those down for unfair deals. And the people, the lawyers that were part of the House settlement have come out and said, no. Every single thing goes through. There are no guidelines. You guys stop trying to put guidelines on this. If someone wants to pay a guy $20 million, let him get $20 million. There's no more rules. You guys screwed it up for too many years. There's no more rules. Then we saw a lot of coaches today be like, please make rules. Please, God, make rules. So we're still in that battle. Greg Sankey addressed that a little bit, said that he thinks that the SEC and the College Sports Commission is within the rules. He thinks that the College Sports Commission has, has done everything and is fitting by the House settlement. I don't know how much you've read into their initial that they had approved a lot of things, but not everything. And the ones they hadn't approved, nothing has been completely turned down yet. It has gone into a secondary review or they've sent information back. How messy do you think this gets in the next 3 months?
Very messy, because that's how everything is in college football. I mean, this is no different, right? And especially when you think about lawyers being involved in the legality of things and trying to establish, you just said guardrails in college football, right? Those don't go together. As much as we need them, and as much as the coaches are even yearning for some type of direction and structure for the long term from a programmatic building standpoint, that those things have never jived in college football. So I do expect it to get messy. They always seem to get their stuff together right at the 11th hour when they need to. We saw the same thing with the playoffs. We've seen it with TV contracts. I expect nothing different when it comes to any of that's another reason why, as a fan, I don't want to say I've been apathetic to it, but it's been so much banter back and forth and very little things that have been concrete that it's hard for me to like really develop all this emotional buy-in until something is established.
No, I agree. It is a little tough because the rules are changing day to day. And so, we hear one thing of, well, this guy's not going to get this. And then we talked about it a little bit on the show on Friday that we heard, Felix Ojo, that, Pete Nakos was recording that Felix Ojo's deal was more like 2.1 million. It was not 5.1, it was 2.1. But on Monday, his agent came out and said, it's 5.1 guaranteed. So somewhere in there, there's something that's, not happening in there. Now, the easy solution is, 2.1's coming from Texas Tech in revenue sharing and 3 million's coming from NIL, but you're not supposed to say NIL beforehand. So there's all these thin lines, and you can say NIL now beforehand. They basically took that off, but the guarantee in NIL is way different because you're not signing those deals until you get on campus. You can't even sign the 2.1 yet because that's not until August. It's all this weird stuff that is happening right now.
Right.
And it's going to end up with going to be messy. We know the lawsuit's going to restart because somebody's going to come back out and be like, they turned down. Like, there's always going to be at least one player who says, I don't want to do anything. I do not want to go to school. I do not want to do a single appearance. I don't want to sign one autograph, and I want to make $10 million. And there will be a school who will pay a player good enough to do that. And I think that that's going to be the guy who really screws things up for everybody, because when you come in and, they can use you as an example of somebody who really isn't using NIL and is against all this stuff, that'll be the weird pushback point of someone who's just like completely against every, all the normal pieces of it.
Sure.
And so, I think that it'll be interesting. You want more transparency at the end of the day about some of these deals, because you want to know the ones that are getting turned down. Is it, is somebody getting $800,000 to show up and do one appearance, and everybody goes, well, that's clearly not a real deal. Like,
Right.
You have to add some more dates to it. Add 6 more dates, and then that's completely market value, and we're good with it. I'm just curious what so far is happening with it. But Greg Sankey says that they're on board. It feels like the Power 4 teams are going to fight for it because it's literally the only sort of like rules they have right now. And so they're trying to fight for it because they've put all this together and have contracts with all the guys that they've paid probably a ton of money to run the College Sports Commission. So if it gets shut down, they're still paying those guys. But I don't think that it seems like it's going to be messy. It's going to be annoying because it's going to be a burden on this season of football for sure. Is throughout this season going till December and signing day, other deals and, people coming out. And then, well, I'm sure we'll get somebody trying to hold out of a game because his NIL is not met to what it was supposed to be. Like all of those things feel like they're inevitable at some point. And you're just hoping that it doesn't derail any major football. And it's kind of more of what happened at UNLV last year of a guy saying, I didn't get my money. So if I don't,
Right.
I'm redshirting and transferring. And that backfired real quick.
And that's the nasty part of it, right? Just as a sport. I mean, when you also look at the playoff element, right? Because that's the other thing is people are like, hey, eventually we'll get to a point where guys are either going to want bonuses or opt out for playoff or, playing extra games, additional risk to injury. All of these factors come into play, right? Hey, if these schools are getting additional splits for bowls and we want a part of that revenue sharing, right? Like where does it go? Where does it end? Right. So that's the guardrails do need to come. I'm not anti guardrails, but at the same token, I think it really depends. Like my perspective right now as a Texas fan, and I think another reason why there's a sense of apathy for me is I feel comfortable with whatever way this goes because in the Wild Wild West element, we are built for that with the resources that we do have and the ability to really leverage that, right? I mean, there's also the discussion about, well, is it fair for Texas to have the same salary cap when they're bringing in more revenue compared to other schools, right? Like you get into that conversation. And then on the flip side, I also think Texas is set up organizationally to deal with the salary cap because we have guys with NFL mindset. We have that organizational structure from administration down. So I feel fine either way for my school. But I know I'll give you an example, Patrick. If I'm an OU fan, I want structure. I want a cap, right? Right? Like I want even playing field. I don't want them to have more money than me and be able to like it evens things out again, right? So it depends. I think your opinion of this depends on where you sit. Like I think things have changed very recently with the Matador Club. If you're a Texas Tech fan, right, of your opinion on this, so it's interesting.
Well, it's funny because we've seen two sides of wanting guardrails because everyone wants guardrails, but there's two sides of the guardrails that are wanted. There's one that is we want an overall salary cap. This is the amount of money can be spent, NIL and everything, which, by the way, and I get NIL doesn't mean NIL, but NIL in itself should never be capped. In itself, in reality, should never be capped. Cooper Flagg should be able to make all the money in the world in his 1 year because he was getting it by Reebok and
it's un-American, Patrick. It's un-American.
Yeah, he got a Gatorade deal for $2 million. That shouldn't count against what he can get elsewhere. So NIL in its reality should be able to be whatever anybody wants. It's just the way it should be. But I see the two guardrails, which is the salary cap, and then the other guardrail, which is we want players to only be able to make X amount. So a Texas would go, we don't want a freshman to be able to ask for $3 million. We want to cap a freshman at like $750 because we can pay each and every one of them $750. So screw the big cap, but cap it to where it's a reasonable amount for us to pay. And we're not losing recruits to all these other schools because they're willing to double what we're willing to pay. And it's not worth it for us. Like we know that player is not going to be like, we can't have that kind of disparity in our locker room. We can't have that because everyone's making money, but if we're paying freshmen this much, it's going to be too much for us to deal with. So you see some people that want guardrails on the freshmen coming in and what those guys can make. At the end of the day, I think that's more far-fetched to actually get that to happen because it is so many case-by-case bases. I think you could eventually try and put something down of, you can't promise a incoming freshman more than this amount before coming in, but we know people are going to break that. So that was the rule from NIL originally, and it never mattered.
You can make the argument, a very strong one, that has already impacted Texas recruiting for the class of 2026. As of right now, I think it was on 3, either on 3 or Rivals that came out with their recent list that Texas was ranked 14th in the recruiting class.
Yeah.
I saw that today. And you think about the recent battles that have been lost, Jamarion that went to Baylor, right? Felix that goes to Tech. Like there's a bunch. I know we just got Samari Matthews, but there's a lot of battles head-to-heads that people are just really, really frustrated about from a recruiting standpoint. And you look at what some of these guys have gone for allegedly, it's like, yeah, that money is also being saved because we have a deep roster that we need to keep people. Like, we're just as concerned about paying the 2024, 2025 guys their next rates than, you know what I mean? Whereas those other schools don't have to worry about that. They're in a full, we're in a full talent acquisition standpoint. And I do think that is impacting Texas in recruiting a little bit. Present day, how that adjusts or shifts when the season starts, and if there's any legislation that comes that is, truly impactful that passes, we'll see. But I do think that is something that is impacting recruiting, and I don't think it's because people are just all of a sudden don't want to go to Texas anymore. I think it has everything to do with the money.
I think it does too. And I mean, and I get that to a certain extent. If they're saying they value you more, then I understand that, you want to go where you're more valued.
Yeah, but y'all are paying $30 for something that's worth $15, right? And it's like, Texas, we're not going to pay. No.
No, but I think you're right too. Is we've seen, the retention, the player retention thing of we get it. We know how much our roster costs right now. And then if it gets better and we keep developing players, that just costs more and more. So we're trying to work within that, work within our revenue sharing. But we saw that the Texas One Fund was going to shut down. All reports were, okay, we look at what the settlement's going to be, and this is what we believe the settlement's going to be. So Texas One Fund, we're going to shut it down. And then Texas One Fund changes. Does not shut down. It changes to a for-profit. And it just changes up what its game plan is. But you could see that was part of everyone realizing, oh, the rules are not changing as much as we thought they were. So to be competitive, we still have to have this. And this is a big way to keep our players that are on campus and player retention. So maybe not even fully of freshmen, but player retention-wise, to be able to say, okay, we can go talk to this company now and get you some extra money and get you a deal over here. So it's not necessarily just straight through the collective, but it is through that. And that's apparently a lot of the deals that are getting shut down are from collectives. And that is where the hang up is to see the College Sports Commission is they're not doing anything. We've told you already, this can't be for charity. We can't do the same charity stuff you've been doing. You have to give them actual market value. And you guys are not finding that right now. So some collectives are doing it well. I think some are having a harder time with it, but we don't know. We don't know what deals have been approved and what have not. We also did see Greg Sankey talk about the college football playoff format and that, he's really open to a couple different things, but I think he dropped the one line that was to scare everybody else into you better fall in line or this is not going to go the way you want it to. But it was basically, if we can't come to an agreement, which after he says we're the most important conference means agree with us, we won't change anything. We're fine with 12 teams. We're going to get 4 or 5 in at 12. So even if we get 4 or 5 in at 16, we'll get 4 or 5 in at 12 too. So Big 10, you're going to get screwed out of this a little bit more. Big 12 ACC, you'll get screwed in a 12 team more. You won't have another team in there. But for us, we'll be fine. We'll still have the top ranked teams. So I think we saw Greg Sankey. That was maybe his power play back towards the Big 10 and everybody else. Well, I'm fine with leaving it at 12. We're doing just fine with 12. We got plenty of teams in. And who was sitting right outside? 3 more SEC teams. So we know that we're there. We're fine at 12, though, if you guys want to try and push this 4 automatic bids for the Big 10 crap that you're trying to push. Or the big question of the day, and everybody's been kind of asked about it, is 8 versus 9 games, the conference games. The Big 10 really, really, really wants the SEC to play 9 games because they know it's a competitive advantage for the Big 10. They know it helps them. They know it hurts the SEC. That is it. All about. It's not about anything else except we know that it will hurt the SEC because it may knock 1 or 2 more of their teams out of the way so we can get a really, really shitty Illinois team in. That's what we want. We just want to stick in one of our
Illinois
bad
catching
teams.
strays.
They shouldn't be in the playoff. And look, I can say it before the season. If they're undefeated, they shouldn't be in the playoff. They don't play anybody. And if you don't play anybody, you shouldn't be in the playoff. And so, like,
wait, so you didn't? So Indiana, by that logic, Indiana shouldn't have. Damn.
No, because if you're a mediocre team and you have a mediocre Big Ten schedule and you don't schedule anybody, you're out. Strength of schedule, you're out. You have to win. And first of all, they weren't undefeated. They did lose.
They did lose.
If you're undefeated, fine. Undefeated in the Big Ten, I'll let you in. You have one loss. You lose to Ohio State, or that proves that you cannot hang with anybody that's real. Because I only have one example of you playing a real team, and you lost. So bye. Go away. I can't stand it at this point. You know what you're doing. And then you come out and Ngati and these guys want to talk big games after scheduling nobody non-conference. It's like, no, you shut up. You get no clout to say anything. If you were going to be a wimp about it, then be a wimp. Don't walk out and act like you're tough. Well, we beat Central Michigan Tech United, and their team, they only got 35 guys on the roster, and four of them I think are in wheelchairs, but we beat them. We beat them pretty good. We put 95 points on them. No, who cares? Can't stand those. The Big Ten is just so annoying because they do have really good teams on top, but they keep acting as if like all these teams below are really, really good. And you're like, you know how our 7th and 8th team in the SEC would destroy those teams. Oklahoma would be a 10-win team in the SEC, in the Big Ten right now. Easy. And Oklahoma wasn't very good last year.
They're going to need the key for the Big Ten, I think, for you, Patrick, is USC is going to need to be a blue blood again.
Yeah.
They can't be what they were 7-6 last year, whatever they were. And then Washington's going to have to return to form. I do think that now you start to really have that legitimate conversation. If Washington really bounces back like they think they can,
yeah.
If USC can be a true blue blood again, which they're starting to recruit the way I think that they should have been recruiting for a while. Maybe this is out of desperation. And then schools like UCLA, right? Some of those secondary schools that are in there are going to have to perform on top of with Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. Now your conference is as good as anybody because Oregon's already up there. But those schools, to me, those schools that are in the middle, right, are going to have to be there because the Indianas of the world, if they're not going to play anybody, to your point, how are they going to earn that respect of going up a tier, right? So, it's interesting to have that debate though between the conferences.
No, I get if USC wants to be good, and if Illinois or Indiana wants to play good teams and have a real non-conference schedule, I'm all for it. And look, I don't like the SEC schools that don't schedule non-conference. I don't like that either. I think it's wimpy of anyone to not schedule at least one real game in non-conference. I think it's a very, very wimpy thing to do. And so I don't like it. And I don't like any coach who comes out and doesn't do it and then tries to act tough about it.
Agree.
Now you can not answer questions about it and do whatever else and pretend that you're not there. But if you want to be like, we're one of the best teams, go prove it. Like, I don't want to walk around and be like, nah, man, I'm the best fighter around. Well, how many fights have you won? None. I don't fight. But I've never lost one either.
I don't fight.
I just don't go fight, get in a fight. Go out there and play somebody. Because if Indiana beat somebody last year, then all right, shut me up. Illinois beat somebody, shut me up. But if you can't beat the good teams in your conference and you only beat the teams you're supposed to beat, it tells me the bottom of your conference is that much worse, is what it tells me. It does not tell me that the mid of your conference is that much better. Because we know that the top is head and shoulders above. Now, if you say Michigan gets back up there and Michigan's back competing, which is very possible, then now you're talking about 4 teams that are at the top with Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, and Michigan. If all USC gets in, that's 5 teams now. UCLA tries to compete, that's 6 teams now. If you get one of those teams to actually schedule non-conference, 7 teams, now you're talking about it. Now you're talking about really pushing back into that aspect. But if we're saying Michigan's playing Oklahoma. Oklahoma scheduled Michigan. Michigan scheduled Oklahoma. Okay, those are two real teams. Go out there and play. Now, I know they're both down last season, but hats off to them. They're playing. They're trying something. It bothers me when you're the mid, and so you want to pretend you're the mid. Like, when the girl goes out to the club and she ain't that good looking, so she brings ugly friends. That's the Big Ten.
Got to scale it down. Yeah.
They just
bring the
in,
average.
Just rolling in a girl that's a little bit hefty, and she brings in a big girl. Believe me, I'm talking trash because I'm a big boy, so not talking trash anywhere. But what happens, and she's like, I'm the belle of the ball. That's Indiana. That's Illinois to me. They're trying to be the belle of the ball, but they ain't no real competition. So.
What's funny is I actually like the schedule that I thought Illinois actually played a decent schedule last year. I don't know what their non-con was last year. I don't know, but it does seem like their schedule this year is pretty light.
I agree, and that was the thing. But they weren't in the middle picture last year.
True,
and that's the thing. Right now they're supposed to be in the picture because Duke is their biggest non-conference game.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. The other school too that I think if they ever came alive again, there's another blue blood in there, which is Nebraska. That hasn't acted like a blue blood in 20 years.
That's true. I mean, they got the money.
That's the other sleeping giant that is hanging out in the conference.
I think this, and I know he's not on the hot seat at all, but doesn't it feel like Matt Rule's not the guy if he can't get it close this season? Like if he's not close. Like again, if they're not in the conversation for the playoff, completely out.
I will say, based upon Matt Rule's history in college football, this is around the time where he gets stuff popping.
That's what I think. Like I think he should be getting it there, but like post Baylor Matt Rule, I don't like the Carolina Matt Rule. I hated NFL Matt Rule. I hated because he was just throwing everybody under the bus. And that's always a bad sign of personality for me, is if you can't stand up and just go, no, fire me. You don't think I'm the man? Go ahead. I get that's hard to do, but we've seen certain people do it. And other guys go, no, it's the offense. It's the offense. It's not me. No, it's that coach. So I can't stand that. I can't, like, how are you going to lead men when you do that? I haven't seen it yet, but I think this is the year. Like, this is the year they're supposed to get into the conversation. Doesn't mean they have to be in the playoff, but they have to start being around that conversation, because then you boost up your recruiting a little bit more. You try and replace Raiola at quarterback after he goes, and you're trying to put some other pieces in there. So I think that but you're 100% right. That's another school that if they get back in the conversation, it can change. And that's kind of where the automatic qualifier thing annoys me. Is the SEC could be down again in 5, 6, 7 years. 100%. You could see that Oklahoma doesn't rebound this year, and it goes the wrong way. Now they got fired Brent Venables, and now we don't know when they kind of fall where Texas was 10 years ago, and they're trying to get back on that right trend. And if you say Tennessee, the Nico Iamaleava thing goes wrong, and that was it. And now they just have a piss poor season, and the kid they got coming in, he isn't the guy next year. And so now Heupel's out, and you got to figure it out at Tennessee. Like, that could change in 5, 6 years of the balance of power. And
I completely agree. No, these teams are going to have to deliver. I mean, Alabama's going to have to bounce back with under DeBoer, right? Mm-hmm. Georgia's established. Right. Yeah. We're talking about recent credibility in the SEC. Georgia's established. Texas is established. LSU has not made the playoffs with Brian Kelly yet. So that's, Brian Kelly's, to me, with this roster that they have, and I know they spoke today, they should be expecting a playoff appearance with that roster alone. I don't care about the schedule. When you think about Florida has been, this is as long a stretch, right, around is they've been, now they think they have some momentum there, right? So Tennessee, you mentioned, I think Tennessee can at least hang their hat on making the playoffs last year. I do think they'll probably take a step back this year, all things considered, but things can change real quick. Like, if you look at Nebraska and Matt Rule, that third year is where he hits. Temple, year 3, he went 10-4 after starting out 2-10, and 6-6 the first 2 years. Baylor, he went 1-11, 7-6, and then it popped at 11-3, right? So Nebraska, 5-7, 7-6, had a bowl win. Now year 3 is typically historically where he's always popped. So if they do that, if the Nebraska all of a sudden becomes a 10-win school under Matt Rule, I do think that changes perception for your conference. So these things are TBD, right?
Yeah,
in
I
terms
agree.
of
No, I agree. And it's the conversation of getting mad at the SEC for the teams that don't schedule non-conference and trying to get that ninth conference game while also not enforcing on your teams to schedule non-conference. Schedule non-conference. And then we had nothing to say and you're good to go. But you can't compare, you just can't compare the conferences right now because the middle ground, the low ground is not anywhere close to what the top of the line is for the Big Ten. In the SEC, like, I'm not going to sit around and be the guy to go, well, Kentucky's hard on the road and Vanderbilt's on the way up. We know that. They're playing better football right now for being the pushover of the league for the last, however many years. Kentucky is tough at home, but the reality is you're going to get one or two easy ones on your schedule, likely. But like very winnable games on your schedule, and the rest are going to be tough. And if you add one more game, it's not going to be another winnable one. You're basically always adding another tougher game on if you add that ninth game because there's just not enough teams that are not good to add on, another. You're not adding on Northwestern.
Well, that's also the conundrum with the SEC schedule in general is with the eight games and the 4 non-con, they get a lot of crap about playing the FCS schools, right? Sneaking the FCS schools in there. We don't do that as Texas fans, but that is something traditionally that they do. But they've also traditionally played another P4 school in those 4 games, right? Like we're playing Ohio State. That's our big non-con game. Oklahoma's playing Michigan. That's their big non-con game. Texas A&M's playing Notre Dame, and that home and home. That's their big one. LSU's playing Clemson, right? South Carolina will play Clemson. Georgia will play Georgia Tech. Like Florida will play Miami. Like there's big. Most of these schools do of the SEC, even though we are only playing 8. That additional non-con game is like a big game, right? So to me, it does even out because a lot of the Big Ten schools, some of them aren't doing that. Kudos to the ones that are in the 3 non-con games, like the Michigans and Ohio States that are going against Texas and Oklahoma. Yeah. Respect, right? I can't argue with them, right? They only get 3, and one of them is against us. So respect there. But most of the schools that I have a problem with are like Ole Miss. Like Ole Miss, I feel like I don't think they're challenging themselves in their 4 non-con games, right? Like they're just totally reliant on their SEC schedule, whereas most of the conference doesn't do that.
No, I agree. And I think you should, like, I'm much more, but this again, being a Texas guy, you're like, you want to put some regulations and say, we're going to keep 8 games. We're going to put regulations on what the non-con can be. We're going to put a little bit of regulation around the non-con to try and push it. The Big 12, we know, did it. The Big 12 used to say you have to have at least one Power 4 or Power 5 team at the time on your non-conference schedule. And now we would see Tom Herman was aiming for very low Power 5s. That was just how Tom Herman was. He came from that school of thought that it's about having the most wins, and however you get there is the best way to do it. And that, playing tough games does not give you as much as just winning games. He was much more of the school of survival, and maybe why he wasn't here long term. But it's that school of survival, you want to at least make them play somebody. Now, you look at a Georgia, and they'll say, we play Georgia Tech. And you're like, okay. But I don't give that as your non-con should be 3 complete gimmies. And that, we'll get to LSU. Let's get to LSU as we go into it because Brian Kelly addressed LSU's schedule. Now, LSU does play Clemson first week, so I'm not saying they don't play
at Clemson.
At Clemson. So we're not saying they don't play anybody.
They
did do this technique that we've seen other schools use, which is, well, you scheduled all these other really kind of easy schools in Louisiana. And he goes, well, if we're playing non-conference, why do we take money out of our state? We should keep money in the state. We should do that. and break. And it makes sense.
That's
but
been their stance for decades.
Yes.
By the way.
Now, if they don't schedule Clemson, I hate that take. Schedule Clemson, fine with it. You put a hard knock on. You put a team that maybe you didn't think was going to be a top 5 team in the country when you booked them, but that's a top 5 team in the country. I cannot complain if you schedule that extra game in there. I have
no problem with what LSU's been doing. They played us. They played Florida State.
Yeah.
They played USC. Now they're playing Clemson. Like they're playing either blue bloods or historically top 10 programs in their non-con at least one game. So
I agree.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, we saw Brian Kelly talk about that Clemson game as well, and how he has to change his approach dramatically to game ones. He has not won a first week matchup so far, and this is going to be the toughest. We know like the Notre Dame and those are tough ones too, but this one is going to be really, really tough against a really good Clemson team that has a lot of returning players. Brian Kelly did go in that he believes having Garrett Nussmeier and having the returning quarterback is the biggest plus for a quarterback is experience. I agree. It is a huge, huge plus to have a returning quarterback. But he's basically said, man, I've been coaching for a long time and clearly I'm not doing something right. So we have to change. We've always kind of gone into it not making a big deal out of it, trying to say this is another week. We have to go play football. We have to be ready. And he's like, we can't do that. We need to walk in and really know what we're walking into and hype this up a little bit more and get our guys ready to go. And I'm surprised it took him this long, but I'm curious to see now if there is a major difference that LSU comes out strong. You figure this now, the game plan, everything has to change into this is not let's treat this like any other week of the season. Let's treat this like if we don't win this, our season starts off on a really, really sour note.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard to rebound from.
Absolutely. The approach they're going to have to take that they haven't before is treating this like a bowl game, right? Or a playoff game. They're going to have that type of mentality. This is not a week to week. Because the thing is, when you look at how LSU has played in their opening weeks, they have been unprepared, right? And it's been very goofy behavior. Special teams gaffes, guys not running out, guys getting heavily penalized. Think back at these games, especially some of them that were really, really good that you remember, like the Florida State game a couple years ago, not the one where they got blown out the last time when Florida State started 13-0, but the year before where they lose on the extra point, right? They outplayed Florida State in that game, but they lost because of preparation. Attention to details wasn't there that were there later a few weeks when they beat Bama, right? With that same squad when they beat Alabama. So the attention to detail and all of those things, and that same thing that applies to how we look at Texas early in the year when we go and play Ohio State, but also how we looked at Texas when they went to Michigan last year. I know it's week 2 and it's a little different, but the attention to detail, we were buttoned up. We took the game. The intensity was there. LSU has come out looking like it's a season opener, looking like, they're having calling timeouts because substitution patterns are off and things of that sort. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if they lose on the road, because this is different. Those games before, those have been neutral site games for the most part, right? This case now, you're going truly on the road to Clemson, a team that is just as experienced as you are, a team that won their conference last year, a team that also has a returning quarterback, that it also is a Heisman candidate, that you two are probably going to have a shootout, let's be honest, potentially. And we want to see, is LSU buttoned up? Now, if LSU loses because I test Patrick, you watch the game, you're like, man, Clemson's a little bit better than them now. There's nothing wrong with that because they're really good. But we can't see you losing because your field goal team is running out late, or you can't get guys on sides, or your substitution patterns are off. That's where we look at coaching. And that's been the problem with Brian Kelly in these openers, where you're smoking a game right off the bat, and now your team is behind the 8 ball for the entire season. That can't happen again.
And we know this is the second year in that new defense that they've brought in and new defensive coordinator. And that was a big piece of what they talked about today was, how important that second year is going to be, that we will be more buttoned up on defense. Now, I want to see it to believe it, because it's one thing to say it, and it's one thing for it to be that way in practice when they're going against plays they know. And, they're seeing the same thing they've seen 150 times, and so they know where to be. But when you go out and Dabo Sweeney's out there, and Clemson's been preparing for this for 3 weeks, and they've got all their types of trickeration, and you have an experienced quarterback in Cade Klubnik who's able to start calling audibles and throwing around, are your linebackers going to be it? Weeks is a great linebacker, but can he get everybody to be where they need to be? Are your DBs going to be and switch over and get where they need to be? Are you ready for a run play when you think it's a pass play? Those are the things that LSU's defense just consistently did not do last season, and they're going to have to be able to figure that out. And now Clemson and LSU too. This is the big question. Can either one of them have a run game? Because both of them are trying to figure out who their star running back is going to be and who they're going to be able to run the ball with. I think that's a huge piece of week one, is if one of them can run the ball successfully, then it could change that game dramatically. Because if it's only one of them that can do it, that is ball control to the max. And that's how you play, cooperative football.
The funny part about this, Patrick, is I'm really excited about the LSU running back room. I think they have some of the best set of backs in the conference. I love Caden. I keep telling people all the time, Caden Durham, running back out of Duncanville. That's one of my boys. He was a dog last year when they finally started to play him halfway through the season. And all of a sudden they had some. Caleb Jackson's back. Yep. They have the number 1 running back in the country in Harlem Berry back there now, coming in from the 2025 class. They got 3 runners. Now, the thing is, you just sent your left tackle to the NFL, Will Campbell, who's the 4th overall pick. Emory Jones was a pick, right? Like, is the offensive line going to be able to create those holes, right? Yeah. Especially, we have not seen LSU under Brian Kelly, in my opinion, establish a legitimate run game without the quarterback. Jaden Daniels was the run game, right? But we haven't seen them be able to turn around and hand the football off and do it on a consistent basis. They have the runners, right? Caden Durham should be a top 10 back in the country. He is that good as a sophomore. Do they have the scheme and the blocking in place? Because Garrett Nussmeier is not going to be a force multiplier in the run game like Jaden Daniels was. He's not. No. He's going to need that support. Whereas Klubnik can kind of help and do his own stuff. You know what I mean? It's a little different. But they lost Phil Maffa. And before that, they had Will Shipley. So Clemson had been kind of blessed at running back a little bit. How will they look with their new scheme? I agree with you. Whoever's able to run the football in that game will have a big edge, because both of the defenses are veteran defenses. You talked about Wick Weeks. They're going to get Harold Perkins back. He had been injured. They're going to get him back. Dom McKinley at defensive tackle. They're going to have Sadir Mitchell from us at defensive tackle. The secondary, they went and got the transfer from Virginia Tech, LSU did. They got people that have played a lot of football in that defense, and your $2 million defensive coordinator, Coach Baker, in year 2, like you said. There's no excuses why y'all shouldn't look organized and know what you're doing.
No,
right?
No, and I'll say this too about the run game for LSU is Brian Kelly has to make a noted effort to get Nussmeier to understand how important establishing the run is. Because I think we've seen Nussmeier a little bit last season, maybe option out and maybe audible out of some run plays.
Good point.
And maybe try and look. And he looks at the other side of the field, and every single time he looks up, he goes, I can make that throw. What's that, triple coverage? I can fit it in there.
Very confident young man.
And so he needs to be able to understand, if I run the ball, if I hand this ball off and don't kill this play to go to the play I really want to go to, and go to the one that looks like it's going to be fun for me so I can throw the ball 45 times a game. If I can do that, then maybe this game will be a little bit easier on me, and we can get moved down and we get put in, advantageous situations that are 3rd and shorts and 2nd and shorts where I can lob the ball downfield and I can do those types of things. But, that's where I want to see his improvement is decision-making with the ball in his hands and before the ball goes in his hands, to say, let's sometimes take what's there and not always try and get the ball downfield and always try and throw it out and not always try and be the hero of the game. Because I think, he needs to just figure out how to be a game manager that has a game manager plus. And we know he can be better than that. But if he can start there, because last year he just wanted to throw the ball. And they did. And I mean, they're calling plays for him and letting him have the option to do it.
But in the bigger games, it got them in
start.
trouble. In the bigger games, it got them in trouble. And when they fell behind, i.e., when they had a very good first half at Texas A&M, and it was Jekyll and Hyde, then everything fell apart in the second half. But they also forget about their run game. To your point, like Caden Durham last year didn't even really take over like that until the Arkansas game halfway through October. And he still finished with 750 rushing and another 300 in receiving. And the kid was a true freshman, didn't even get the job until halfway through October. And then now all of a sudden, when they OU game, he's running all over the place. Baylor Bowl game, he's running well. So just remind yourself, you got a back there that can open it up for you. You don't have to do everything on your own and have him be a force multiplier for you.
Yeah,
I'm high on LSU this year if they can be smart.
That's the question.
That's the question.
Can a Brian Kelly run team be smart? Or
they got the personnel, Patrick.
Or was Brian Kelly, did he get a new job at LSU because Marcus Freeman really helped him out on the defensive end and got complimentary football to be played out? And then he takes the LSU job and it has not been the same. And Notre Dame's already been in a national championship game again.
And Notre Dame got there because of high IQ. Don't beat yourself.
Yes.
Take care of the football.
Yeah, and I think that's the question is, can they do that? And, you see it. Week 1, that's it. Week 1 is, can you be smart? Can you, just play regular, good football? And then if it comes down to it at the end, it's a shootout, great. But you can't be in a shootout in the second quarter. And you can't be in a shootout early in the third when it's still a 1-possession game or a 2-possession game. You have to play smart football. And then we can go down and say there's really a stretch where their season falls in, and that's between Ole Miss. They go Ole Miss, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, A&M, and at Alabama. And so that's 3 road games. That's 5 teams that can all put it on you. It feels like that Vanderbilt game is somewhat of a let up, but it's not, because that's a game you can lose. If you let up at all in the middle of that, that's a game you can lose. We don't know what A&M is going to be, but they're probably going to be a pretty decent team that can beat you. And it's like you have to be able to win 4 out of those games, especially if you lost one early. So if you're LSU, you'd like to go 5-0 because really where you want to be is 5-0 and not worry about the rest of your schedule a little bit. And you can say, well, if we stumble at Oklahoma, we're fine. But if you go 4-1 there, you should be able, even with the Clemson loss, you're a 2-loss team, and that's a playoff team for LSU most likely. Yeah. So you're really saying we got to go 4-1 in this stretch. And you got to be Florida too. Florida is a team that I'm just not sure about. So we'll get into them later in the week, I'm sure. But
I think if you're LSU looking at their schedule, what can't happen is you lose the Clemson game and then you end up splitting Florida Ole Miss. So now you're on 2 losses before you enter October. Now you have no margin for error. That can't happen.
Yeah.
Again, if you lose to Clemson, and the context is there that Clemson was just a better football team. It was great on great. They beat us because they were at home, and the margin was slight. We didn't beat ourselves. They were just better. No one's mad at that, okay?
Yeah.
We can, but and then if you handle your business and you're getting better and you're developing consistency, then when you get into October, you have to handle the business, definitely at home versus South Carolina. A&M, the get back for A&M should be there because you have that game at Death Valley. That's probably going to be a night game. Then you have a bye week before you go to Bama.
Yeah.
The thing with the LSU killer is gone because the man that had been killing them is now in the Seahawks and Jalen Milroe. For whatever reason, Jalen Milroe turned into Lamar Jackson whenever he played LSU. The guy had 15 touchdowns against them in his last 2 games. They could not stop him. And so if they could just now with Ty, if you let Ty Simpson run around for 500 yards on the ground at quarterback, then y'all ain't a playoff team anyway. So you should be able to handle a more traditional passer. Kind of like if you think about how they were versus Connor Weigman versus Marcel Reed in that game. It was just, if they can defend running quarterback, because go look at Jalen Milroe got drafted because of his LSU tape. Period. It was insane. half his numbers came versus them.
Well, and
so
I mean,
they can handle that. Then,
well, but that's the whole thing is that you get a prep for running quarterbacks. The 3 previous weeks, you play Lenore Sellers, Diego Pavia, and Marcel Reed. Those are the 3 quarterbacks you play in a row before you go to Alabama. So now you got to flip all your mindset of we have just played 3 straight mobile quarterbacks. We're going to play a team that has a mobile quarterback that killed us, but he's gone. So now we, in our bye week, have to reset our brain to don't think like this guy's going to – you have to watch him, but we don't have to watch him like we did the last 3 guys.
To your point, Sellers and them were up 17-0 on LSU last year. Nuss and them had to come back and win that game at South Carolina. That was a game that got real tight, but they were up 17-0 dealing with Sellers. And that was the Sellers that was on his 3rd or 4th start. He didn't even know what he was doing at that point.
I'm telling you, that's
the key for LSU. Can you stop these? Marcel Reed ran all over y'all. Jalen Milroe got drafted off of y'all. Sellers went wild.
But that's what you talked about. You can't have 2 losses going into those 3 games.
No.
Because that's how the season unravels. Is the season unravels that we're already at 2 losses, and now we roll into 3 straight quarterbacks who have the secret medicine to kill us, and in a row, and we're going to lose to 1 if we lose South Carolina because Lenore Sellers is playing at a Heisman pace, and then we roll into Vanderbilt, and we're like 3 losses. Oh, what? Our season's falling apart, and Diego Pavia pulls out some more Vandy magic, and now you're 4 losses. Why even hell show up to play Texas A&M?
It's very easy to see. LSU has all the talent in the world to be as good as they want to be. Can they be smart about it? And can they defend mobile quarterbacks?
No, I'm with you. We're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll get into South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. All spoke at SEC Media Days today. We'll try and get in some Summer League updates. I've got all your stats for your Texas players and the Texas teams and everything you need to know about that. We'll get into that when we come back as well, and whatever else we want to get into because it's our show here on Open Gym. And if you want to join the conversation, feel free to join the conversation Facebook, Twitch, X, or on YouTube. You can join in the chat right there if you want to join in. And if you want to join us on the text line like my man Chan over there, the text line, the coded text line is open, 512-222-9328. You know it if you're a fan of Steven over at Fanatic Perspective. He likes to have the people join in as well. Glad to have him on the show today. We're going to take a break. We come back, get into more from SEC Media Days as we continue on here on Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Hi, I'm Dan Covert with my wife Hayden. Welcome to Covert BK.
Our newest location in the gorgeous Hill Country includes Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and hundreds of pre-owned and certified vehicles for you to choose from. We have 3 service departments that are ready to take care of your car, truck, or SUV with 86 service bays to accommodate any repair and get you in and out quickly. Come visit us today to select the vehicle you've been dreaming about.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations.
I got this, Dad. This is Camilla McKay, and my dad can help with any TV or stereo needs you have around your house. Just call him, and he will come to you with advice and a great price. And the guys that work for him are awesome. They can install anything, anywhere. So, like my dad says, just relax and smile. We handle all the work.
So just give us a call at 255-8678 or on the web at avconsultations.com.
Say hello to Jason and the gang over at Relax the Back. They embrace a holistic approach for a healthier lifestyle based on 35 years, folks, of proven expertise, and my back couldn't be happier. Their motto is live wellness, and folks, they can transform your routine, your daily routine, into something very, very special if you have back pain. If you're struggling with thoracic problems, if you got hip problems, if you got lumbar problems, please go over to one of their stores. They got 2 great locations, and find out a chair or a recliner or a sofa that's going to fit you and going to make your life a whole lot better. I've got this office chair right here that I've been sitting in for years, and I love it. 2 locations, folks, at the Hill Country Gallery across from Whole Foods, and in North Austin at the Gateway Shopping Center across from the Container Store. Live pain-free like the buck and Relax the Back.
SendTexTickets.com. If you're in the market for tickets to any sporting event, any concert, any Broadway show, anything live coming to town, you got to head over to SendTexTickets.com. The best seats to all of the biggest events, not just here in Austin, but all over the state and all over the country as well. It's so easy to use. Just log on your phone or computer to sendtexttickets.com. All of their tickets are 100% guaranteed, and they will be delivered right to your phone or computer. So simple to use, and you're also helping to support a local business every time you shop. sendtexttickets.com. So if you want to be at the biggest events in sports and entertainment, there's only one place to go. It's sendtexttickets.com.
Back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Rolling in here to hour 2. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside today, my man Steven from Fanatic Perspective. Go check out his YouTube channel. Check him out on X as well. So you can get up to date and good Texas Longhorns and Cowboys and Spurs and all the good stuff, the coverage that you enjoy, my man Steven. Appreciate you joining us today. My man Matt is out. He is en route to SEC Media Days. He'll join us from there tomorrow, but we're happy to have Steven and join us today talking about some of those SEC Media Days as we continue on. Just talking about some LSU there, and they were definitely the start of it. By the way, Brian Kelly really needs to learn how to tell a joke. And also, all these coaches seem so awkward. Like, for guys who go in front of locker rooms and do all this talking, and so awkward on these stages that I get you're not supposed to be, you're not designed to be public speakers, but like Brian Kelly kept telling jokes without laughing and smiling. It's really unsettling if a guy tells a joke and you're like a media member and the guy does not laugh or smile. You're like, is he mad at me or what? And you kind of look over like, ha, 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 joke. No, that's not okay, Brian Kelly.
It's just, it makes it refreshing when you have somebody like Sark who just acts like a real person. Like, he's not trying to be the funniest guy in the room. He's not trying to be the smartest guy in the room. He's just trying to be relatable and sell his program. Like, you don't got to do all this other stuff. You don't have to have a fake accent. You don't have to act like you're autistic. Like, you can just be a normal freaking person. And, I don't know.
No, and Shane Beamer was not bad over for South Carolina. He was, decent about it. He did back the 8-game schedule, basically saying, guys, we have some rivalries that are not in our normal. So if we're scheduling a 9th game, it kind of screws us more than it may even screw some other teams, because we are going to end up playing Clemson every year. And so if we're playing Clemson every year and a 9th conference game, like how are you even trying to get us to compete? This is going to be really, really tough for us. And a really thing that basically every coach goes into, strength of schedule has to matter a ton. That is what we keep hearing during SEC Media Days. One of the biggest points of SEC Media Days, strength of schedule has to matter when you're deciding, because they're trying to say our 3-loss teams are much better than some of your 1 or 2-loss teams. They're just better. And I know it's hard to make that logic, but a 1-loss Big 12 team that didn't play a hard non-conference and a 3-loss, let's say, LSU team, they're going to say the LSU team's better. Now, that's up to the people. You have to go by eye test. There's a lot more factors that go into it than just saying strength of schedule. But I do think you should take it into account, but you should take it into account for any team. If they schedule a good non-conference, they play tough schedule, whether it's SEC or Big Ten, or, if a Big Ten team gets Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon, they had a hell of a tough schedule. That normally would not happen. But if someone had to play all of them and beat, and lost to 2 of those and went 2-2 in that, put them in the playoffs. That's a good run. I think everybody has to be kind of judged by that. We see South Carolina, though. Shane Beamer, basically, at the end of the day, his story is we retained a lot of players. The players that are at South Carolina want to be at South Carolina. And have you noticed we have Lenora Sellers? We have some really good defensive linemen. We've got some players that, we're happy we were able to keep. Let's put it that way. We're very happy these guys are coming back to play for us, and they think it could be their year. The issue with South Carolina, man, is their schedule is tough. That is a tough schedule. They start with Virginia Tech. They have to play at LSU. They have to play an Oklahoma team, an Alabama team, at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M, and then finish the season with Clemson. That is a lot of games that are up there. And that Virginia Tech, again, we talk about those first week games and kind of judging your season. We've talked about with Texas, I don't know if it's as vital, because you say there's a really good Ohio State team. And I think last year with Michigan, maybe you took a little bit more out of it, and you didn't need to because the Michigan team wasn't very good. So I think you really want to win that game, but it may not feel as important for an LSU team playing Clemson that if they lose that, you're like, all right, clock's on. And for the South Carolina team, you lose to Virginia Tech, clock started, man. That just makes so much harder for the rest of your run.
No, yeah, the Virginia Tech game playing in Atlanta, they're expected to win. I mean, it'd be different if they were going to Blacksburg.
Yeah.
Even if they were going to Blacksburg, they'd still be expected to win. But it's like, hey, in that environment, historically in Lane Stadium is still tough, especially early in the season. That's tough. You have to respect that. Playing in the Mercedes Dome, it's kind of a good little thing where you're playing a more veteran. A lot of guys came back for Virginia Tech, even though they weren't that great. Guys came back, including the quarterback, and you're playing a Power 4 school, not neutral site to start out with. So in their case, they're playing 2 ACC, 2 P4 schools in their non-con out of their 4 games. So the schedule definitely is tough. For me, looking at last year, South Carolina was the one team that I don't think anybody wanted to play at the end of the season going into the playoffs. Now, they did have a letdown in the bowl game to Illinois, losing the Cheez-It Bowl, 21-17. But before that, when they had all their guys, especially like Kyle Kennard, who was a top pick at off the defensive line, like all those guys that were humming, and the way they beat Clemson physically, that Clemson game was impressive what they did because Clemson at that point was humming offensively, and they really held Clay Kubnik at bay, and then Sellers took over real late in that game. I was like, man, that's a team nobody wants to see in the playoffs, just with that physicality of the defensive line and that quarterback. Do you think that they could be, and this is where I'm coming from with this, they still have Dylan Stewart. You still have Lenore Sellers. They got some freaks over there, right? We still haven't seen Nick Harbor take off like he probably can with his abilities and how he was recruited. Do you think they could be a little top heavy though? And what I mean by that is the depth. Do you see the depth there in that all 22 the way you see with some of these other teams, especially as we get later into the season? That's what worries me with South Carolina and Shane Beamer's ball club.
Oh, 100%. Because what you worry about with South Carolina is what you always worry about with South Carolina, which is coming up short in some of those games where you just go, oh man, you're right there. But that depth of our guys are more tired than their guys in the fourth quarter, and we're completely leaning. Now, that's where Lenore Sellers comes in. And that is where you have a guy that you say, are you Superman in the fourth quarter? We know you were good last year. Can you up that to go into Superman mode to where your depth, when it starts to, be a problem, and maybe your offensive linemen are letting somebody through, or, maybe on the defensive end, they allow an easy touchdown and you go right back out on that field. So now everyone's tired because they let a kick return go through, or they let, a 2-play drive. And now you're sticking that offensive line back out there to try and go on a long drive. And can you make a big play or several big plays in a row and just keep getting back up and going back in there? I'm with you. I think that South Carolina, if you say those top guys stay healthy, those top guys play at a very high level, you'll have a pass rush all season, which you need to have, and you will be able to have one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in college football all season. But if either, if you lose any of that, then you're really fighting an uphill battle. And yeah, there isn't going to be a ton of that because, again, you in today's game with NIL and everything else, you're either retaining players or you're getting new players. And for South Carolina, they retain players. And that was kind of their game plan, which means you don't add that depth that a lot of these other teams are being able to add. I'm with you. And it's, when you get into the part of the season where it is, you're at LSU, then you come back home and you play Oklahoma and Alabama, and then you got to go out to Ole Miss. You get a bye week in between, and then you're at Texas A&M, Coastal Carolina, and versus Clemson. There's just, you get little breaks in there, but not enough to really let your guys heal up. Those 1 weeks, they're important, but if you're banged up, that depth will really come back and hurt you. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, Nick Emuwore, who was that that safety they had last year that blew up the combine. He ended up going high in the second round. TJ Sanders went in the second round, who was a dog. Kyle Kennard went in the fourth round. Tonka went in the fourth round. Like, those were people that were dogs on that whole defense, man, that are gone. And look, we expect Dylan Stewart just to continue to be a freak. And they still got guys over there that can play. I'm excited for the development of Jordan Dingle, the tight end, who started to show some things last year, who's like a senior now. Like, again, Nick Harbor's good. Like, the guys that are supposed to take the next step. Nick Harbor has to be good. Sellers has to take the next step. Like, all of these things have to happen, and then they'll probably be in play to be scary again. Yeah. But if they want to have that special season, they're going to have some luck fall their way when it comes to injuries and whatnot, and it's really, really stay healthy, because I just don't see the depth there throughout that roster when attrition starts to take place.
No, I'm with you, and that's and then you're also talking about if everything goes well, you're playing extra football. It doesn't stop, because if everything goes well for them, you're now talking about getting into a playoff and having to go week after week. I will say Lenoris Sellers has the capability of being that guy that nobody wants to see in the playoffs. But can he do it for the amount of time you have to do that in college football? Are you going to be able to stand the couple losses you're going to pick up along the way and be able to go in? You have to know, you have to be able to be – the question is, can you be a 2-loss team and lose to Clemson and still make the playoff? I think they can if they're competitive in that Clemson game. But you say, and you also need Clemson to be Clemson, which, I mean, that goes without saying. But so you have to be a 2-loss team. You can't be a 3-loss team already and need that Clemson game. You need to be a 2-loss team that can go in there and have your fight. And then if you win it, you guaranteed it, and maybe you wait on it if you miss out. That also depends. It's still a 12-team playoff this year. It won't be to the 16-team this year. So it'll still be 12. So it's a little bit harder to get in on that back end, depending on who else is there, where LSU ends up, where Georgia ends up, Texas, all those other teams. I think this is a team that has a possibility to make the playoffs at 3 losses. And then it's just, how healthy are you and how beat up are you? And can that not playing in the conference championship game give you enough space to go to that next week and still be there? They're going to be exciting. They're one of those teams in the SEC where you look at it and you go, this is what the middle of the pack team should be. A team that has all the ability in the special
and a little bit of star power. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to get you over that so you can be a lot better, but there still are critical flaws in a lot of positions that you need guys to stand up. And how many places can you get to step up? Shane Beamer's done a really good job. I think it was Anwar brought it up today, maybe somebody else on my Twitter feed, that Shane Beamer would be a really good choice to fit Oklahoma if Brent Venables doesn't get it around. I think he's done a really good job at South Carolina, but there are limitations to what they can do. Yeah. And so they need to be able to go out and win the games that you have to win. You have to beat Virginia Tech early on. You have to be 5-0 when you play LSU. You have to be 5-0.
So you stole my point there, Patrick. That's literally what I was going to come off and say. They have to be 5-0 and they have a bye before the LSU game. Yes. Now playing at Death Valley is going to be tough, but we also know, we just talked about LSU's propensity to let opposing quarterbacks get off. We know South Carolina was up again 17-0 on this LSU team last year when game day went to South Carolina that week.
They could be back.
That was a huge game. So that's going to be the key. If they're 5-0 by October 11th, then South Carolina's right on track, especially if they're healthy. And then finishing the season, teams like Ole Miss, at Texas A&M, they're gonna have to tag A&M again, right? To be one of those teams, whether you're in the SEC championship game or not, to be in contention, so that they have that margin built up before the Clemson game. That's going to be the key. If they have that margin built in before the Clemson game, to where they're playing with house money essentially, and you get Clemson at home. Remember, they beat Clemson on the road last year. So there's it's not terrible for South Carolina. It is tough, but you want tough because you need those games to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So you need them, but it's manageable to me.
Yeah, I am curious. This is just a weird. I'm curious how much respect A&M has for themselves, like the fan base, that this should be a really hard season to play at Kyle Field. The fact that EA Sports put them 10 and DKR at 13th makes me laugh so much, because they pride themselves on having the greatest home field advantage and all this stuff, the 12th man, and man, how much does our Kyle Field do everything? And they're like, Texas fans show up in the second quarter and they're 2 spots behind you.
That went out the window when App State went down there and went BTA on them. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, hey, if you're Kyle Field, you have to pick it up. If you're Aggies, right?
They have to pick it up. Your record is what your record is. There's too many people that have walked into that stadium. Notre Dame walked into there last year with 4 freaking freshmen and sophomore offensive linemen and beat them with babies.
Man, that's what I'm saying. You gotta be able to pick that up if you're Kyle Field, because if you're not, that home field BS is gone now. And now you ain't got much else to sell for going out there. Well, we'll have some guys in overalls yell at you. No, you gotta be rowdy and crazy Colt members, just lazy Colt members. But so I'm curious if that is going to be crazy this year, because they really dropped down a lot on a lot of people's radars of home field advantage. So, but it is, you got to go Ole Miss, you got to go to Texas A&M right there at the end. And the finish line is also, for that Aggie game, the finish line is so close for them at that point that if you are a 1-loss team right there, that is what a way to stumble. And so I think that, you just have to be like, don't stumble down the stretch. If you've been able to make it there, or even if you're a 2-loss team and you just feel like, okay, Clemson, we got Clemson in a couple of weeks, we can get there, we can get to that finish line. You don't want to stumble against A&M on the road. Ole Miss is the same kind of thing. You just don't want to stumble at that last little stretch. But I do think South Carolina, I think they have a very good chance to make a run, because their schedule's tough enough that they get a little bye. This is not the old school era that I think they could be a 3-loss team and still make the playoff. And that's not necessarily true for a lot of other teams. That would have to be 2 losses the only way you get in. I think they could make it in with 3. They're competitive in that Clemson game at the end of the year, and that's one of the losses. So I'll say that I think they can get in there, but they got to be 5-0. Like, you have to be 5-0.
You'd have to be 5-0, and your loss would have to be a justifiable loss at LSU. Let's say you do lose at home to Bama, because I do think Bama's going to have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the SEC. We'll see. I think Texas, Bama, Georgia, those are the teams in the discussion for the best defense in the SEC this year. And then if you lose to Clemson, like if your 3 losses are Clemson, LSU, and Bama, and you beat everybody else, you're in the playoff conversation, even with 3 losses.
And you have one of the most dynamic players in college football.
Yeah.
That they would like to see in the college football playoff.
Now, we'd also need to understand the context, by the way, of the rest of college football, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right? If there's 4 teams that are undefeated, which I don't think there will be, but if there's
it depends. Like, is it Big 12 the Big 12 2 teams that are 1 loss playing in the championship game?
Right.
Is it, are you talking about the ACC that Clemson's undefeated, but Louisville's right there? Miami's also really good.
Big year for the ACC. Yeah.
So, if one of those teams bounces back. But I think, let's put it this way. I think a 3-loss South Carolina gets in over a 2-loss Indiana or a 2-loss Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the Big 12 put a fight about it.
Well, you kind of brought up just now, right, with the Big 12. Like Brett Yarmark, last week at Big 12 Media Days, talked about having multiple Big 12 teams in the college football playoffs this year, which last year they just had Arizona State, right? So if there could be the potential of them trying to, but they can't do that when last season in the Big 12, their top 7 teams were either 6-3 or 7-2. They cannibalize themselves too much.
And Deion Sanders already came. Deion Sanders said, I think our champion will have 2 losses.
So then they eliminate themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, well, I hate to tell you, dude, you ain't getting 2 in. You ain't getting 2 in. There's not enough really must-see players to give you that edge over there anymore. We also saw Lane Kiffin take the stage, and Lane Kiffin felt like a little bit, maybe a little bit where he's trying to change his ways a little bit. He's still a little bit of a troll. He's still all these things, but he wasn't trying to go with it. Talked a lot about family. He's lost both his parents in the last year. Mentioned that several times throughout the day. That has really made him do a lot of soul searching and kind of change how he thinks about things. So that was like one of the bigger pieces of his thing. You're like, all right. I get like you come from a coaching family. So that is, a little bit more of a reason why you bring it up, but went into that a lot. He went into 8-game schedules enough. Not surprising. He doesn't want to play tougher schedules. That's always been Lane Kiffin's MO. He will, if Lane Kiffin could only play FCS schools, he'd play FCS schools every single time and then figure it out in the playoffs. That's just who Lane Kiffin is. He will take the easiest route to get to the end, whether or not that's good for him or not. And I
think that hurt them in 2024. I think
agree.
that hurt
them again this year.
They weren't ready to play at Kentucky last year in that SEC opener after playing, just ping pong for the first 4 weeks. And now they're playing Kentucky in week 2 this year. They open with Georgia State and then they play at Kentucky. Yeah. Remember, Kentucky beat them at Ole Miss last year, so there's some
their best non-conference game is Washington State. That's their best non-conference.
Are we sure it's not Tulane?
Okay, it's Tulane. It's one of those.
It's like
I'm not going to tell you somebody who's going to be. Yeah, Tulane's a decent school too. I agree, but yeah, you're not playing. There's no Power 4 team in there.
No.
They didn't go for that, so he's already on that one. Which is, again, don't tell me that your schedule's too tough if you don't schedule any of those. I don't really want to hear it. But we saw that he also went. Talked about Austin Simmons a little bit. And that Austin Simmons does not need to be Jackson Dart. He needs to take his own time. They're two very, very different quarterbacks. So he talked about that. He talked about winning close games, that they need to get over the hump of winning some of those close games. And then the big overarching piece of all of Lane Kiffin's whole day was that I thought there was a salary cap and no one's obeying it. And I don't know why he thought there was a salary cap. There's never been a salary cap. There's revenue sharing, but NIL has never went away. And I don't know why he thought it did. I don't quite know what he thought was happening. But that was his basic take was, I thought we had a salary cap. We've been functioning, I believe he said, for 2 years under this, which that's way too long to be doing it. But basically saying we've had a $20 million budget for a couple of years. Everyone else is spending more than $20 million. They shouldn't be allowed to do it. They should be punished for doing it. And then
they were some of the biggest spenders in the portal last year. What's he talking about?
I agree. It's Lane Kiffin. It is Lane Kiffin.
Didn't they go and get Princely and Walter Nolan, a whole NFL defensive line from the portal?
They did that for $20 million. $20 million is a decent amount of money.
They still had to pay Jackson Dart, who also came from the portal.
And keep in mind, I think he was saying salary cap. I think he's still thinking $20 million for football, which the new salary cap is not $20 million for football. The salary, the revenue sharing is $20.5 for all athletics. I think he was going at $20 million because, again, there has not
then
been
he told on
cap.
himself. He told on himself then.
But that's what I'm saying. There's never been a salary cap. There's been revenue sharing with a cap of $20.5 million. And then there's been NIL, and there's no cap on NIL. There's just rules about it. They're trying to have more rules about it. So it's two ways of this going, but it is a weird. That was his overarching. He said it many times that he wants there to be a salary cap. He really, really wants it to be even, and he thinks he can compete better in that world. He doesn't. Lane Kiffin always wants to take the advantage. I think Lane Kiffin is a hell of a coach. He seems somber in that he was trying to change his ways. He needs to figure out this is not a way to a championship. He feels much more like a coach who's really just trying to get to 10, 11 wins. And we'll figure it out when we get there. But that's not how you build a championship roster. So it was, the whole thing was, give me a better chance to get in the playoffs. Give me a better chance to get in the playoffs. Give me a better chance to get in the playoffs. Like, that's not how you win that's not how you win it all. That's how you get to the playoffs. Those are two different types of things. But yeah, at the end of the day, he goes into a schedule that's winnable. It's very winnable for him because he does have no non-conference games that he should lose. He's got Kentucky and Arkansas early on there. I know playing at Kentucky is tougher than playing at Kentucky on the road or at home. But if you want to be in the conversation, you have to win that. You have to go 4-0 to start your season. You play LSU, you play Georgia, you play Oklahoma, and you play South Carolina, you play Florida. At Georgia and at Oklahoma are probably your two toughest games of the year because they're on the road and they're back-to-back. That's probably the stretch that'll be the toughest for Lane if he can go, only go one. If he goes 1-1 there. But that's your question: is if you go 1-1 there and you beat LSU and you lose to LSU or Florida, is this a team that with 2 losses can still get into a 12-team playoff? Or do they have to have a 1-loss team because they don't play anybody? They play Georgia.
I
they
don't.
Lose to Georgia?
I don't trust them. I mean, Lane finally got his signature win last year, if you want to say that, with the Georgia game. But then they turned around and literally smoked the Florida game with the whole season on the line. Everything was on the line. They literally, all they had to do was beat that Florida team. And in the fourth quarter, they just, Jackson Dart just lost his mind and started throwing picks to everybody. And that literally eliminated them from playoff contention, that game. It wasn't they did all the hard work. And then it was like, all right, let's just take care of our business against Florida. And it's like, those are the type of moments where I don't trust Lane Kiffin. When the pressure is on as you're the favorite to handle your business and to get your team to the next level, do you have that maturity, right? Like, to me, I'll give you a game early in the season that people need to pay attention to. I'm going to tell you right now. September 13th, Arkansas at home. Watch out, because they embarrassed and ran it up on Arkansas last year. Bad. I think they threw 6 or 7 touchdowns on them boys last year. And Sam Pittman coaching for his job. Arkansas is not devoid of talent. Taylor Green back, and they'll be healthy early in the year. To me, that's almost a get-back moment. Can Ole Miss be mature? Can Austin Simmons be ready coming off of a very physical game? One thing about Kentucky, regardless of whether Mike Stoops' team is good or not, they're going to be physical. They're going to be physical. You're going to have some bumps and bruises coming off the Kentucky game. I'm assuming they're going to handle their business there. That Arkansas game is where I have my eye on Ole Miss to be mature. Like you said, if they can be undefeated heading into the LSU game, then we can have some conversations. But I just have a feeling they're going to trip up either in that Arkansas game or Tulane or Kentucky. I just have a feeling.
I mean, because if they do that, the playoffs are really – because now you got to go – you got to beat LSU. You have to beat Georgia. I mean, you have to win out. Yeah, I mean, if you lose that one game, you can only lose – you can have 2 losses then, but now you have to have a signature win, which would be LSU. Really, LSU, because no one else I don't think is your signature win. I mean, you beat South Carolina, but if you're beating South Carolina, then they're not South Carolina. So, anyone else you're beating – the fact that you beat them means that they're not that team. So you have to find somebody that's in there. And so you have to beat LSU or Georgia at that point to really get over that hump. And I'm not I don't necessarily see it. Now, if they go out and they start boat racing everybody and Austin Simmons looks like he did on the one drive that we saw him play, then maybe that changes things. But this feels like Lane Kiffin may get put in by his own doing, by not scheduling a non-conference, by not doing enough off the board, that he may do himself in, because he may be a 2-loss team, but I'm still taking a 3-loss South Carolina over him.
And they're talented again. They're younger. They're talented again. But this is why I don't understand with him. They've leaned on the portal still. Harrison Wallace was the starting receiver at Penn State last year. That's now their starting receiver. Stripling was Oklahoma State's best player last year. When you think about Ollie Gordon and everybody else took the year off, including Alan Bowman, Stripling was the one person that showed up last year. They got him at receiver. So you got 2 really nice receivers replacing the guys that went to the NFL last year to complement Austin Simmons. And to be fair to Lane, he's always been able to get guys that can go and catch the football and that can run in his scheme. They got it this year. They got Sage Ryan from LSU and on defense. They've hit the portal again. So this whole narrative about spending money. They're spending money to get these veteran players out the portal.
Yeah.
And guys that are productive all-conference guys. So now I want to see, can they put it together earlier in the season and be gelled versus some of these other teams that have a lot of more returning players in their second, third year in their schemes.
No, I'm with you. Our final team that spoke today, Vanderbilt and Clark Lee spoke. Both Pavia and Clark Lee. And Pavia made some jokes about it, but he mentioned it, and Clark Lee mentioned it. Thank you, donors. Thank you for letting us compete. Because without you guys giving us that extra money, we are the laughing stock of the SEC football schedule. But because y'all are throwing a little bit more money at us, we can be a competitive team right now. And that was kind of, the overarching piece for Vanderbilt was, guys, we're trying to compete. And so our budget probably isn't going to be as high as some other teams, and we may not even hit, the full, NIL and everything else. It may come out of revenue sharing, and we're trying to figure those pieces out. But at least we're not losing players left and right. We're able to keep some guys. And Eli Stowers is able to come back to Vanderbilt because some guys ponied up and got it. And Pavia is still here because guys ponied up some money, and everybody's ponied up a little bit of money. And so we were able to continue to have this football team. I did like also Clark Lee talked a little bit about what his sales pitch must be for recruits, which was they asked him, in a world with NIL now, how important is academics? And, you have a really good academic school that you use that to recruit some good players before. Is that as much a matter? And he goes, no, it's not right now the same. It's not. But as soon as we start to see the numbers of education versus NIL money and those metrics start to come back, and we see people going broke at 25 and having no way out, and we start to see people throwing money away and doing dumb things because, they only made $800,000 and they didn't realize there was taxes on that and everything else. And so they really only walked away with $400,000 and they bought a $700,000 house that they couldn't afford. And now that got repossessed and they don't got a job because they went to they went to 4 different schools. So they got connections nowhere. Maybe you should have gone to Vandy and got an education. So I think that was kind of his selling point was, I get it all looks good right now, but maybe look at that long term. And hey, I'm all for it because that works for Texas too. I get Vanderbilt, maybe has some other people, but you're like, yeah, you look at Texas and that sales pitch will sell at Texas all day long. You want to be taken care of long term and make the connections and get everything. You come on down to Texas. So I'm all for that sales pitch. This is a Vanderbilt team. The question is not so much what do they got to do to get to the playoffs, because I don't think that's a realistic expectation for this Vanderbilt team. They got some good players. They are definitely the most annoying team in the SEC right now, because like Kentucky's good at home. We know that they'll put up some fights, but you don't really expect them to go in and they're not a gnat buzzing around your head. They're an ant pile. Maybe if you kick the ant pile, the ants will get on you. But you got to get Vanderbilt's going for it. Vanderbilt wants it all day. We know Diego Pavia leads that machine. They don't really necessarily have the toughest non-conference, so we don't really have to worry about that. They do play a Virginia Tech team, so that's basically their big non-conference game. But they still have to play at South Carolina. They have to play at Alabama. They have to play LSU, Missouri. They're at Texas. They play Auburn. They play Kentucky. They play at Tennessee. This is not a playoff team that is likely to be a 1 or 2 loss team that gets you in. So
no, they were real fun last year. Went 7-6, made a bowl game. Won their bowl game versus Georgia Tech. That was also pretty exciting football game. So the way I look at them, like last year, they rightfully say they own the state of Alabama, beating Alabama and Auburn last year. A lot of these games, though, that they won, can they win in the same manner with the same margins again?
Yep.
Right? Like Virginia Tech, is disappointing as Virginia Tech was, that game went to overtime. Right? I remember how Vanderbilt started that game. They jumped all over Tech, but Tech almost came back and won that game. Right? So now you're going on the road to play Virginia Tech that second week in their home opener, right, after they play South Carolina. That's going to be interesting. Their non-com, like you said, the rest of that, Charleston Southern, Georgia State, Utah State, they handle their business there. They're still on pace to be bowl eligible. But can they go beyond that? Can they win 7 games, 8 games? I think that's the question why Diego Pavia came back. I just don't know if they'll have the same luck within the margins again next year. You know, even games like against us where we played them in Nashville and, you know, we really should have won by 10 points if Kobe Black's interception had counted and Vernon Brown didn't get called for the, unnecessary roughness penalty. But, you know, that was a 3-point game. But they expect that in Austin, you know, like the margins.
By the way, I'll give you this. A lot of people asked about that. A lot of people were like, well, he was a 3-point game with Texas. And you saw, they all were like, nope, it was a 3-point game. It was a good game. We're looking forward to playing him again. Did not take the bait. They were told, do not take that bait. They're going to try and get you to say something. Texas is going to have 900 media people at media days. They're going to try and bait you into saying something that they can aggregate and show everybody. Don't give them that stuff. Especially
that was the most backdoor 3-point game. Like, no disrespect, but it was.
Yeah. They can say it like you can say it was a 3-point game. It wasn't, but I mean, but it was. So you can say it. But I think they all knew and look, hats off to them. They were coached up well enough to go, do not poke the bear on any of them. Say you want to play these games, but don't go poking the bear. Don't give everybody something to say because we're talking to all the different schools' medias. And if you do that, Texas is going to run with it. And all of a sudden that Texas game is going to be a lot harder than we thought it was. Because if we can walk in to a Texas game, it's 11 a.m. Don't piss them. Like the fans aren't going to care that much. We can play them rather well if we don't piss them off.
Yeah, put some doubt in there.
Fans off.
Oh yeah,
it's going to get a lot louder, and we don't want that. So let's not do that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing. To me, the key for Vanderbilt is actually the last game of the season at 100%. Tennessee. That's going to be a really fun game. I mean, they have talked a lot about in the offseason, especially Pavia, about being the team to be in the state of Tennessee now. Hey, we play in Nashville. Hey, we've, like you said, the money, the NIL, the opportunities now here as a college athlete being in Nashville and brokering all the deals that they can broker, it is more desirable. We've seen that carry over into SEC basketball with Vanderbilt and some of the opportunities those guys have gotten. So to me, I'm looking at that last game at Tennessee, whatever Tennessee looks like at that point in the season, if Vanderbilt can pull that one off.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that one is going to be a big one. They finish at 7-6. I think you're really looking at this team and you go, if you could go and get 7 in your regular season and then win a bowl game to get to 8, I think you do pretty well for yourselves.
That's a great year for them.
I think that's a good year for them. It's just a lot of tough games because you're saying you got to play at South Carolina, you got to play at Alabama, you're playing an LSU team that's tough, you're playing at Texas, you're playing at Tennessee. Like somewhere along the line, you're going to drop a few of those games. But if you can win the games you're supposed to win and just lose 4 games, 5 games, then if you lose 4 games, if this is a 4-loss Vanderbilt team, they did an amazing job because while they do have some good players, and they got guys like Eli Stowers is going to be your top guy. There's no depth, and there's plenty of holes on this Vanderbilt team still. Yeah. They just don't have the money and the talent there. Clark Lee's building a good program though, so they can still be an upset machine. Alabama at home is really going to try and get revenge. We know that one is going to be crazy. And then I think LSU is definitely one that. It's at Vanderbilt. Again, we talked about LSU is going to be right in the middle of that stretch. That's the big one. If they want to get their big statement win, it's LSU this year. That's the big one to go after. We know they've had trouble with a mobile quarterback. We know at times Brian Kelly teams maybe have not been focused enough to just play dirt ball and playground football and get down to it because they're trying to do things by and so when you start to get crazy, and things start shifting around, and all of a sudden he starts finding Eli Stowers when he extends a play. That's the game I think that you have the best shot. And then at the end of the season, it is if you can go beat Tennessee, and you can just say in the last year Diego Pavia we are going to run Tennessee from here on, which we know they've already said, but they're not. But I still think you want to put that in there to say, okay, for our recruiting next year and our transfer portal or whoever we're going to have.
Put that energy out there. Why not?
Let's try and get somebody in who wants to go take that shot at Tennessee. And I think that would be so if you want to get your big win earlier in the season, it's LSU. And then, I'm with you 100%. That finish the season strong at Tennessee, and that'll be huge. So that gives there's your SEC media days. That is what's gone through today. We will have more tomorrow as I look up who is going to be the schedule for what we have tomorrow. Tuesday coming up in our order of it is Georgia. We'll get Kirby Smart, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Tennessee tomorrow. So some more big schedules in there, and then we'll talk about Missouri for about 8 minutes and roll on. Missouri, I don't know, like Missouri's a decent team. They just are not exciting. It's just not exciting. They're decent and decent. Like at least Vanderbilt is they're trying. They're a fighter. You know, you want a fighter. Missouri doesn't feel like a fighter even. They're just like, hey, we're pretty good at this.
They had the most advantageous schedule last year, and they didn't capitalize the way that they could have. You know, the record was decent, but the schedule they had was, wasn't as challenging as everybody else.
No. All right, let's hit in to let's give a little summer league update. Why don't we talk a little bit of basketball before we get out of here, Steven? We'll give you a little bit of update. First off, let's talk about the Texas players, the Longhorns that have been in summer league since we've seen you since Friday. Trey Johnson had another couple of games. He came out on Friday. He was 7 for 13, 3 for 5 from 3. He had 18 points. But we saw that was a Trey Johnson that wasn't, well, he was good, but he wasn't. You saw some of the flaws of the game, and you saw that the Trey Johnson doesn't play defense. Trey Johnson a little bit more on that one. He just wasn't as active on both sides of the ball. He had the plus minus and negative 16 on that one where he was scoring, but it's not, that's not the type of winning basketball you want to see. But it's summer league. I get that. That happens. That's not all on him. On Sunday, he goes 7 for 11, 2 for 6 for 3, 21 points, but he has a plus 15 in his plus minus on Sunday. So we know that we've seen kind of both sides of him, maybe picked it up a little bit more, got the team a little bit more involved on Sunday. He is probably the most natural scorer from anyone behind Cooper Flagg, of a guy who's just, if we're just talking about guys who are going to be able to step in, not saying the first overall pick, guys who are going to be able to step in and play at an NBA level week one, that's Trey Johnson. He has that style of basketball. He will be able to score the ball no matter what. It's all the rest of his game to be able to get him to be somebody that can play on winning teams versus scoring 30 points a game. That's the one thing he's got to figure out. He's a really young guy. He's got plenty of time to figure it out.
He's on a really young team too, where they'll have a lot of
done a few good D things. Like I like this Washington team much better than the Washington team he got drafted to.
Yeah, I mean they're developing. I mean, they have that combination of developing some guys. We'll see who they keep from a vet standpoint with some of the recent deals that have been done. But the one thing that I didn't account for verbally as much as I probably should have, I've always known this, but I didn't account for it, is the spacing and openness and freedom of the NBA game. And I think that definitely benefits Trey. You even see that in summer league versus some of the rules and way guys get guarded in college and the way you can harass a college ball handler a little bit more and get away with certain things versus just that there's more space. And I think some of the shots that Trey has hit, because he's actually shot at a pretty decent clip overall for his field goal percentage for summer league, I think you're just seeing him have a better array of freedom to get to his stuff. And he should have that license to do a lot of that in Washington this year, considering their roster. So, he's one of those guys where they may even talk about shutting it down, right? I mean, he's shown pretty good repertoire pretty early at his age for all three levels of scoring. Like you said, the defensive stuff, sometimes he can just get a little too amped as well offensively at times and needs to just tone it in. But those are things he'll learn over time. You just have to develop that patience in the Washington organization. But I think if you're a Washington fan, this is exactly what you wanted to see. Can he score? Can he shoot? Right? Like, that's why you drafted him, right? So check.
Yeah, the defense is a project. You knew it was going in.
Right.
That's why VJ Edgecombe went ahead of him, was because Edgecombe is a more complete player, not as good of a scorer, but a more complete player.
Correct.
So you see that a little bit more. But look, it wouldn't surprise me if they shut him down. It wouldn't surprise me if they leave him out there too. They don't play today; they'll play again tomorrow. But there's a Washington team that I think wants to use summer league as much as they can. This is a very young team. They got rid of some of the guys that were there, Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, which were the pieces last season. They were kind of the main pieces. Those guys are both gone now. Trying to open it up for Koulibaly, opening it up for Alex Sarr, opening up for Trey Johnson, give them a little bit more room. CJ McCollum's going to average 50 points a game, playing 20 minutes.
If he stays. Also, he's no longer, did you hear? You see, he's no longer the president. It's now Fred VanVleet.
I knew that they were going to vote him out after this free agency.
Yep, Fred VanVleet is your new Players Association
after CJ McCollum oversaw a deal that killed free agency, I thought he was probably going to go.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah. That's,
do you think CJ stays in Washington the whole year?
It wouldn't surprise me, because I don't think anybody, I don't know any reason why you buy him out necessarily, unless he's really uncontent. He doesn't want to be there. I could definitely see McCollum being a guy who likes mentoring young players.
Okay.
And kind of understands. Now, at the trade deadline, possibly if there's a better option, you get a draft pick out of him. If he plays well and mentors the young guys for the first half of the season, then someone's like, hey, we need someone to contribute. But I think his salary is also somewhat hard to get a trade for. You got to find how to even that out. And I don't know what the Wizards want to bring in. Now, if he's expiring, then, yeah, they're keeping him for the year, because they'll just get out of his contract at the year. But I believe, as someone who's the head of the Players Association before, I could believe that he's all about mentoring this young team, especially some young guys like Trey Johnson, who could be similar to CJ McCollum and maybe surpass him, but could use his guidance. We also saw some of the other Texas players. Serge Rice did not play on Saturday. They play again. Lakers play again tonight at 9:30. We saw Arthur Kaluma played in that game. He played 17 minutes, went 5 for 8, 2 for 4 from 3, had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, finishes with 12 points, but also had 8 fouls in the game. So I think that was a piece where he had sat out a game and then came back and was just like, I need to go hard. I think they were like, you can't foul out, play with more intensity, play with more urgency, play like you're trying to play for a roster spot. And he did. We saw Arthur Kaluma play a little bit better in that game. He's again 9:30 tonight for the Lakers. Kedon Shedrick did not play. They played it back-to-back. The Cavs did Saturday and Sunday. He didn't play on Saturday. On Sunday, he got 13 minutes. He went 2 for 4, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, and 8 points. Got to the free throw line a couple times. So decent showing from Kedon Shedrick there.
Not bad for Shedrick.
Yeah, and then we saw Max Asmus go 1 for 6 for 2 points on Friday. Then 4 for 9 with 3 assists and 10 points on Sunday as well. He plays at 7:30 tonight. So Max Asmus having a decent game and getting it done as we get into the games tonight. The Spurs over the weekend, they win Saturday 76-69 against the Mavs. They play again tonight against the Jazz at 7:30. Dylan Harper makes his debut on Saturday, goes 5 for 12 with 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. He has 16 points. The one number you don't like to see is he was 0 for 4 from 3. So everything else you saw about him looks really good. Looks like a type of player that's going to be hard to not play for the Spurs next season. He's going to get his time. He's able to create. He plays at a high level.
I was thrilled with his performance, honestly, considering he's had the little bit of a groin thing going on. And, he hasn't worked out as much as, say, Carter Bryant has since the draft. So seeing him just get in there first game, and a lot of these guys, especially the top guys, typically their first game, they do not shoot the ball well. Same thing happened with Cooper Flagg. You're trying to find your bearings. It's a new line. It's a lot of things, right? And that typically develops over the course of the first half of the season. We saw the same thing with Stephon Castle. So I'm not really concerned there. I just want to know that you're willing to take the shots and your mechanics are there. Carter Bryant didn't shoot ball well from three at all that day, but he shot better in different days. My thing is their athleticism, their motor, their competitiveness. This is some of the best when's the last time the Spurs have been this athletic at some of these positions? Really think about it.
Yeah,
it's been a while. Like Carter.
It was basically when Timmy was getting a little bit older, and then you had Manu and Tony taking over a little bit more. That was when they started to run the ball a lot more and play a little bit more like that. But they still had they had the young rotation and the old rotation then. Now it's like there's not really the old rotation.
No, I mean, when you think about this is around Wemby, by the way, who's who's the alien of all aliens, right?
Yeah.
I just saw Superman this weekend, so that kind of applies here, like about an alien amongst humans, right? So that's you have all these people revolving around Victor Wembanyama and Carter Bryant, who might be the best run jump athlete we've had since Kawhi Leonard. I'm just going to say it right now. Like in terms of size, running and jumping ability, and his ability, there's some stuff he did defensively where guys are starting to avoid him this week already. Some of the stuff he did versus Cooper Flagg. Now, Cooper Flagg was sensational against us, but in terms of their individual matchup, he did the best overall versus Cooper. I think he held him to 4 for 12 shooting when he was matched up with him, including that block he had at the top of the backboard. Just insane stuff. Dylan Harper had an insane block. Yeah. And you also see I wasn't crazy when I was looking at Dylan Harper standing next to Ace Bailey, and I'm like, they're the same size. Dylan Harper is a bigger guard than people realize. And when you see him finishing at the rim, you start to understand, this is why he was 65% finishing around the cup, right? Half his things are starting to get goaltended because he's able to get the ball on the backboard or on the cup so effortlessly. And that just is going to make a huge difference because I think you saw later in that game, the playmaking. Now the driving kick is going to be available, which is going to be key playing around Vic when you have a De'Aaron Fox, when you have a Steph Castle, when you have that. Now I kind of can be relentless in what I'm throwing at you. I'm thrilled with what I saw.
And Carter Bryant, the note I had is he went 0 for 7 with 4 turnovers, and everyone afterwards was still like, man, Carter Bryant.
Yes, everybody was talking about him. I'm like, have you ever seen that before? Because if you're watching the game, you're like, this guy's destroying possessions. Like for
so well, and he was 0 for 7 with 4 turnovers, and you still walk out of the game. And it's like that's why Summer League is way different because the stats don't really matter as much as when you look at it. Because you look at David Jones Garcia, he has 21 points again in that game, and you're like, he may or may not make the roster. We don't really know. He'll end up on a G League team most likely on a 2-way contract, but he just doesn't offer enough other things. But we know he can score and he can ball and on the right team that works.
Great point.
But can he score? His 21 in the summer league is like 8 in the NBA, and 8
You're
points
looking at transferable traits.
Yes,
to a real.
But you look at Carter Bryant, and you're like, oh, that dude.
That transfers.
Hey, here, let me tell you the real thing. Everything he does is kind of what they wanted Sohan to do, and he is just miles ahead of Sohan of athleticism.
Athleticism is off the charts.
Off the charts. His arms, his hand-eye coordination. You see why he's a pick, and you see why people are so high on him.
And he's intense. I didn't know he was that intense.
And his shooting motion is not bad. So I think the shot will start falling at a point.
Oh, the mechanics are fine. It's just the consistency. That's even Harper. I'm not worried about their they don't have ugly jumper like Sohan. They had to rebuild. We've had guys where they had to rebuild the whole where your elbow is, all that. For them, they're just young and it's consistency.
Yes, exactly.
They don't have flat jump. They're not flat shooters. Anything like that. I have no worries with Carter, and with his intensity and what he's showing. Don't be surprised if he becomes a more consistent shooter younger in his career because these are guys that just have great work ethic.
Yeah.
The practices, the Spurs practices in training camp are going to be wild.
Oh, it's going to be fun. And I think you see that. It's like it is going to be much more of a competition of guys being like, oh, last year I wasn't worried about playing time. And now playing time. Like Julius Champagnie was worried about playing time last year. But now Sohan's going to be worried about playing time and Barnes and I think Castle and Fox and everyone's like, that's 5 minutes that's going to be taken away. I don't want those 5 minutes taken away. I want to play 35 minutes. I want to play, I want to play full games. So I think it's going to be a lot. Going through quickly because we're getting to the end of it. The Mavericks lost to Spurs in that game as well. They play again today. They just started a few minutes ago. Cooper Flagg has been shut down. He went 10 for 21. He ended up with 31 points in that game. He looked really good. He did. His usage rates through the roof, which what you expect. But you saw everything. They were never expecting to use him long term. That is a team that is wanting to compete next year. So they're like, shut him down, make him be healthy. That's all we need. The Rockets also lost to the Pistons. They won today. Let's see, what did they win or lose today?
Is Reed Shepherd still playing?
They lost 111 to 108. Reed Shepherd was shut down for that game. At least for a game, Reed Shepherd was shut down. He did not play. He didn't have a great game in his last game either. He had 4 steals and 18 points, but he had 6 turnovers in that game. And you know what his plus minus was for his game?
What was it?
Minus 26.
That's the thing with Reed. He's got to get consistent if he wants to. This opportunity to get on the court this year with the Rockets, and they're going to need that shooting, but the consistency has to be there.
I agree with you. Let's go some meatheads of the day here, Steven, before we get out of here. I found some good stuff over the weekend that I want to show you. We'll go at least. I will show you a Cowboy for you. Does this make you feel like your offensive line is really going to be the next level this year?
My man Tyler Guyton.
That's Tyler Guyton. Working out in the rain.
Okay. I want to see the hips and the feet move a little bit more, but I see the vision.
That's Tyler Guyton working out in the rain, having a good old time. That's one of those ones I'm like, this is like a movie thing. Isn't real. He has a big gym and this doesn't mean anything. It's just for YouTube, just for social media. It's not real.
Yeah.
Tyler Guyton's already really good. Now make the rest of that offensive line get out there. Cooper Beebe's cool too. Need the rest of them out there. All the other Tylers, make them work. I want to see the rest of the Tylers get out there and get to work. I got one more for you real quick. This was at a Lumineers concert apparently in New York over the weekend. Mr. Met not making a good catch there. There's Mr. Met playing with the Lumineers at a big stage, and
then the nervous bounce. Oh man, after the knee buckle, that's crazy.
Right off the stage, he just goes directly off of the stage. It's Mr. Met, which I can't imagine wearing that giant head and then your foot steps and you just go. Because you're pretty top heavy. It feels like.
Not the drop and the fall. You have the drop and then you're trying to bounce back. And then you speed yourself up a little too much. Then
you think that was like a backup Mr. Met? That was a guy who's like, the real Mr. Met didn't want to wear the helmet tonight, so I'm going to get out there and I'm going to prove that I should be the next Mr. Met. And you're like, I got fired.
Whether or not it was Patrick, that's the PR release you go with.
No, I wasn't the real Mr. Met. That was Kid Met. That's Tommy Met.
Regardless, that's the PR release you go with if you're the Mets.
Steven, tell everyone where they can find you.
Appreciate you, Patrick, and thanks for having me on today on Open Gym. This is fun as always. You guys can find me on Fanatic Perspective on YouTube, on all social media platforms. After this tonight, we're actually going to be doing a rewatch, continuing our rewatch series right now on the 2024 Texas season as we get ready for 2025. So we'll just go back and watch the every play clips and see what we can glean and just talk as a Texas community. But it's just fan-led, fan combos. We're getting ready to launch a call-in show and just talking ball and having fun with the guys and gals out there getting ready for the season under 50 days to go. And we are going to be firing up some Dallas Cowboys content. Spurs content is on the way, especially with Summer League like we just talked about. So if you like those teams, come talk with me. I appreciate you guys having me on here on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
I love it. Always appreciate you having me on. I just saw saw them at Summer League, and Cooper Flagg is standing next to Nico Harrison, and it really, really looked like he was a hostage. Like he didn't know. He was like, "What? How does he still have a job? Everybody, how?" We all agree he's terrible at his job. He got fleeced by the other worst GM. Rob Pelinka is also an awful GM, and he somehow fleeced you. It's just awful. All right, we appreciate you, Steven.
It's the Spurs fan. Keep him there. Keep him there.
Keep him. Good job, everybody. Hey, put him on the Rockets, too. Those guys are doing too good. We appreciate you so much. Matt will be back joining us tomorrow from SEC Media Days. But until then, be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow for more from Open Gym.